Yeah, God's got something better.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold it like. I might hold it over. I just realized.
You got a little bit of.
Oh, circulation.
Hello. Cheese and crackers. Olives.
Okay.
Dollars.
Hi, I'm Cinnamon. Nice to meet you.
Are you the new team member that's
Yes.
in Maricopa?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I live in Maricopa too. Yes, we for sure will. I saw that come down social media. Oh, perfect. I can pass. We've gone over.
Wonderful. Okay, well, everybody can share it off of the YouTube. Judy is one of the first few agents in EXP. She's been in EXP for. I just felt the air. I think the air kicked down.
Is there one for two or no?
You're up first.
Okay.
We're gonna start quick.
Whenever you're. And then. So I would like. Oh, I thought I would use up there. So I got it. And so he's so. So I have been. I didn't know. Yeah. So then I thought, all these people are. Why are they singing around here? I'm gonna have her print it. Yeah. What's your name? Angel. Angel.
If you guys all go to. Crank it up, crank it up.
I tell them.
I'll make sure that, Max takes a picture of all of us together, the speakers, before we get started. Nice. And Angie's not here. Angie's not here. Did it again. Been talking to Angie all morning. He should be here. Yes. Yeah. She had some car trouble. Yeah. Oh, man, dude, I need it. And I want to wear my whole suit. Hopefully it is.
Where do you want that picture? It's all read
Right,
now.
huh?
You can go a little bit
Yeah.
now.
You do? Okay, that's just not very strong. Okay, it's about time.
Depends a little while.
Take it from there in a second. Oh, we're gonna get the photo in there. Cinema. We're cinema. Sorry about that. That's okay. Cause like, on the inside. Okay. Yeah, that'd be fun. Okay, speakers. Speakers. Yes, sir. Picture. Where's Max at? Hey, look back. Really?
Yeah, I was just reading the bio. So, you said that about.
It's an online station.
Oh, online.
We're all over the. Yeah, certain people, we do, homeless people, we help do build homes and Bahamas. And did some in Puerto Rico. Yeah. So, I'm trying to get that. I teach at Living Word here, and we're gonna be teaching at Grove. JD Phillips? No, in Monterey. California. That's where I'm moving to.
Oh, were you reading?
Yeah, I'm already doing that. Did you? Day's cool. Okay, and I teach also out at Lake City Church. I know this way got big. Oh, yeah. And you'll see me cross stage on this one. Cross the stage.
But you teach at the one out.
The one in Phoenix and Glendale. Sunny did that. Yeah, it's been recorded. So we're gonna kick this thing off. Ray, you got the video ready? Yes, it's got a quick. I'm hoping we got some people on up there. Oh, we might have to join, click join on there. And, you can minimize that text and let people know. Let them in physically.
It's just you. No, we're good.
Yeah, that blue one up there.
No, that's you.
Oh,
But we can keep an eye on it.
sorry. So those of you watching live via YouTube or Suzanne, I'm Kenyatta Goins, and this is our pre-launch to something exciting, a new training, teaching, and coaching method and term that we've developed. We've got our partners here, our coaches are here, and today's going to be an exciting time. But what I want to do this morning, is introduce my son, Mr. Third Day the Mouthpiece. He's going to start this thing off the right way. We're going to play his music video, but he's much more than an entertainer. This is a minister. And I have him here to bless this group, to bless all the agents that do come. And so we keep grounded and we do things in order to know, as I like to do. I could pray us in, but I'm not the one to speak, so I need anointing too, right? Yeah. We all need a covering at all times, right? So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to cover each and every one in here, and everyone watching the broadcast, everyone coming into the room, into the building. The anointing is going to flow over you, and the blessing is going to flow. And we're going to make this thing, your life, prosperous. We're going to change your life. Are you ready for a life change today? Yeah. You ready for your life to change? This is getting ready to be explosive. We're going to do some great things today and expose you to all types of things for your mind, body, soul, and your spirit of all things. And we're blessed today to have the founder, one of the founders of EXP in the room with us personally, Miss Suzanne Poupois. Can you come up and say hello? I mean, and then we'll get started, but I love this lady. She
Well,
is...
he keeps me going. He keeps me going. He sends me prayers all the time. I had the worst case of COVID, you all. I know everybody's had it, but I'm asthmatic, and for some reason, I was knocked on my back for a month, and a whole month. So anyway, and I'm here, and I support this group because it is such a healthy going. What Tori and what you all are doing is unbelievable. And we've got to spread the word. We've got to get it going. Abundance is everywhere. And we can, by giving, we receive. And so we've got to just keep it. And and at some point, when you decide what y'all want to do, I do want to offer this. Is probably out of context, right? This in a second. But before I forget, that's good. But I want to y'all, everybody in your group, come and I will do special things where they can listen to me talk to other people. Yes. And you know, and you can in a Zoom meeting and hear them and hear what they say to me. And it's better than role playing because it's the real thing. And
this is how I like it.
Yeah, and how we do it on recruiting, and how we do it with buyers and sellers, and how we, you know. And the thing is, even though I started real estate at 10, I have been in it for 39 years. And I'm a broker in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. So I'm not keeping all those active now. I'm whittling down a little bit. But
and she's not living in San Diego.
Well, I'm in San Diego 5 months out of here. I'm up in San Francisco near you a lot. So, but you know, I think I was a truck driver in a past life. I just had to get the car and drive. Love it. But anyway, that's it. Thank you for having me. And Judy is starting to do things, and she's coming tomorrow.
Judy's one of the first 300. She's in the crowd.
Yeah, she's a family. And she's doing it. So follow the leaders. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be one of the first of 2 founding brokers for EXP. And now I'm in the top 50 out of 83,000 in recruiting. So, you know, 44. And I am going to get better, and I'm going to be in the top 10.
Number 4 in the company.
3.
Number 3, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm here, and Calvin, I'm so grateful for you, and I apologize that last month I could not even return my text calls.
There's people in this room that are praying.
Oh my gosh. Well, it worked. We're here. So thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. What an honor.
Yes.
You know, how many brokerages that have 84,000 agents and have the luxury of having a founder come to their little event? Yeah. Yeah, say God is good. God is good. So we're going to turn it over to Jay. Very good. I love this man. He's not my biological son, but he's my son. Because God can put people in your life that really turn your life around. And this is what he does. We sow into each other daily. I got other people to sow back into me. And iron sharpens iron, right? So if you notice our logo has the keys crossing because they're metal, they're iron. We're going to sharpen each other. We're going to shield each other from the attacks. I don't want to preach. Yeah. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. But today's a lesson. I'm so pumped. I'm so ready for this. So we're running behind. Jay, you got it.
You can put a video on like the words, or I'll use the things. Father God, in the name of Jesus, if you would lift up your hands with me. In the book of Acts, there was all on one accord. So when you become on one accord with your teammates, the Lord is sure to work. So Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you today. We thank you because we know that it's ordained for us to be in this room right now, or we wouldn't be here. We thank you for your grace, your mercy, and peace. And first and foremost, we thank you for who you are, not for what you've done, not for what you're about to do, but we just thank you for your will in our lives today. Thank you for giving us your safety. Open our minds today to your wisdom, to what you want us to hear, to what you want us to see, Father God. I bless each and every brother and sister that's in this room right now, Father God, that you will continue to make them into the men and women of God that you called them to be, Father God, that when people see them, that they may see you and be inspired by your love. As you bless each and every one's finances right now, Father God, that they may sow seeds and get rapid food, because we know that one man can and one man water, but you make the increase. So I speak increase right now in the lives of my brothers and sisters in this room, and my brothers and sisters that's watching via Zoom right now. Father God, I ask you that your peace fall upon them today, that they may have peace in every move that they make, and that they may be strategic in asking you the desires of their heart. That the desires of their heart may match up with the desires that you have for them. And we love you, and we honor you, and we praise you today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Turn it all the way. We're live on YouTube as well. Realtor. Turn it up.
The city feeling good and the same. I was dead to the sin, now I'm back from the grave. Days on my feet, I don't know how to last that. What you think? Cause I'm saved, I ain't fresh like that. I'm blessed by the man, I don't want you no rest. My spirit on clean, Holy Ghost on my back. I make it look cool when I hop on these tracks. God over everything, I hope you know that. I ain't getting to the real cause the devil no slack. A few years ago, I was out there on the back, ready all in it for the not to let the fact. With my guys would have been taking a hop back in the latch. She gon' be the style of saying, I'm supposed to be paid. Riding through the city, feeling good and I'm saying, what you think is I'm saying, I'm supposed to be paid. Riding through the city, feeling good and I'm saying, what you think is I'm saying, I'm supposed to be paid. Riding through the city, feeling good and I'm saying, what you think is I'm saying, I'm supposed to be paid. Riding through the city, feeling good and I'm saying, this thing is so ridiculous. They wonder why I'm militant. Said I'm finna be like I'm a black and terror ligament. They say they don't believe cause like I don't know who the feeling is. I'm sorry that your feelings hurt, but I'ma get these living in. I'm higher than a bottle rocket. Come around, come again. Why you trying to judge? I'ma bring where you can get it in. I'm fading off the Lord, just the position that I'm living in. Won't you just accept it? I'ma beat it to the finish it. Blessing all my limits. My God is so omnipotent. I think the angel on the beat, and I just said legitimate. I think that I'm a the gospel of Yeshua. We take the gospel and we approach it with our Western civilized mind, and then we attach all the flaws of the Western world to the Eastern gospel. And when we're filled with the Spirit of God, then our civilized mind.
Wow.
Yeah.
I chose that video right there because people think when you change your life, you give your life to God, that you're supposed to be real spirit. Just because I'm saved, what that mean I ain't supposed to be paid? I pay my tithes. I help people and God is going to bless them. You know, it's okay when you're in the world and you're doing this and everybody, oh, it's okay. But when you and come over to Christ, you just give everything away for free. Oh, you're a Christian, you're supposed to do this. No, you pay your tithes, you pay your dues. God is going to honor that and he's going to bless them. And I just want to tell you guys today, once you stop the process of learning, you have already started the process of dying.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
To get different things or to move in a different way, you have to step outside of your comfort zone. See, we like to get comfortable. We like to get in our routines. And God can even use us or bless us because we're comfortable. The growth is in the uncomfortable. I've been through some uncomfortable situations in my life, and I'm sure you guys have. Maybe not like how I've been through it, but everybody has their each and own uncomfortable process. And if you think back, whether it be a heartbreak, whether it be, money loss, whether it be family loss, think back to that time and say, look where I am now. I didn't think that I was going to make it, but by the grace and mercy of God, I'm here today. And just know, even doing this and, interacting with people, expectation is a lot. Expectation breeds offense. So you guys are coaches, you guys are going to be dealing with people, already dealing with people. Our expectancy in people to offend us because they may let us down. But just know, a human will be a human. And you love them no matter what. No matter what's done to you, your love for a person does not depend on what somebody else does or don't do. And if it does, that's witchcraft. Because that means they control. Jesus said, turn the other cheek. It doesn't mean that it has nothing to do with fighting or being. It had everything to do with whether I turn this way or whether I turn this way. I will still remain the same. There's nothing that you can do to deter me from who God has called me to be. So I just want to leave you out with continue to press, continue to know that everything is not all about you or me. God has put us on this earth to worship him first and to carry out these greater works. He said, you will do greater works because I'm going home. And this is the master saying, we will do greater works than him. God in the flesh saying, we will do greater works than him because he's going home. So just to continue to say, Lord, let your will be done in each and every aspect. And it's about your thinking as well. The word says, be ye transformed by what? The renewing of our mind. So if you can redo anything, that means it was already new at a time, right? God is trying to take us back to who he called us to be before we came through human flesh. When we came through the human flesh, we got, these hereditary things, we got mom's eyes, mom's spirit. You're just like your mother. God is trying to take us back to who he created us to be. So be ye transformed and transform others by the renewing of your mind. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. First, let me apologize for the air. I know it's kind of warm in here. The building is typically shut down on the weekends, and we feel it kind of getting a little cooler. Hopefully, you do too. But thank you. We are so honored to have TGRI Group coming in here and educating people. I love the seed, right? That's what we're doing. We're planting seeds of education in everybody, and we already have everything that we need. We continue to get education and growth and so on and so forth, but we already have everything that we need to succeed. And we just germinate the seeds that we're dropping in right now with all the new, ways of doing things and whatever's going to help you out in the field to become successful. But the seed, you nurture the seed that you're going to be given today. You dwell on it, you practice it, and then you put it into play. And you conquer, right? So whatever that is for you, whatever, if you're working on your sales, if you're working on management, if you're working on preparation, whatever it is, take it, germinate it, and let it grow and flourish. Another thing that I just wanted to put out there, if anybody has any young kids or college kids or family members, nieces, grandsons, anything, they're straight out of college, Bell Bank Mortgage is going to be having a free seminar of first-time home buyers over at St. Catholic. It'll be on October 5th. We'll go ahead and put that online as well. The team will also have information if they want to share it with you guys. And if you guys know anybody, bring them, come, learn, get more seeds, and grow. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nat. I want to thank Bell Bank Mortgage for supporting us. The gentleman you heard earlier, he's got one of the only Christian clothing stores in all the state of Arizona. Full line area. I'm talking backpacks, shoes, you name it. This man had it. So I'm gonna put these on the back table. Please take one, support his ministry, support him. Like I told you, he's much more than a musical artist, right? And you heard the wisdom coming out today. That's a snippet. We talked for 3 hours when I'm driving to San Francisco, or more sometimes, just to keep me awake. We went up to Pine Top 2 weeks ago and ministered to the Indian community, the Navajo Nation. And we're doing great things. How many real estate companies are doing? We're much more than real estate companies. You're going to learn today from our next speaker of what we're doing. Ray and I have really stretched our limits, and this has been thrown together kind of last minute. Okay, so please forgive us if we don't have everything, but this is just the start. This is the worst we'll ever be, right? This is the worst we'll ever be. Is today. From here on out, it's going to be great. So I'm excited to introduce my other non-biological daughter. She's been with me since she was 16 years old. She sang at the grand opening of my automotive business. I have one of the largest customization businesses in the West. I was, not now, I was one of the largest exporters of customized vehicles to Dubai. Yes, one of the largest. We did 5 of every brand of high-end car every year, or every month at a time. We customized it. Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, Ferrari, Bentley, Range Rover. Range Rover seemed to be our hot ones. We designed body kits and all kinds of interiors. We did it all. But she's seen me through the best of times and through the worst of times. He talked earlier about you've been through some stuff. He's been through some stuff. Read his bio, it's in your books. I gave you. His bio's in there. But this young lady, her name is Cinnamon Vo. She's going to talk to you about goal setting and mindset. We got some power in you, Angie's gonna be here, she's on her way. There's some power in this room. And it's gonna change what you think. How many know that we gotta be ready for the shift that we're in? There's an economic shift right now, and if we don't change how we're doing everything, we're gonna be out. And that's not just for realtors, that's just for anybody, right? We have to think about things in a more systematic way. So, Cinnamon, it's your turn.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. I'm super casual today. My daughter's birthday was yesterday. We'll do instructional part later. So I had to be ready for all the things. So you guys get the real deal. However, there are scientific proof that you should perform in what you practice in. And this is what I practice in every day. So you get the real deal. I want to start out by telling you a little bit about what I'm going to talk about, but I want to provide context with regards to who I am and a little bit about my story so that you know the lens in which I see the world. My lens is only my lens. My lens is not yours, right? Everyone has a very unique lens. So I'm going to share with you based upon my perspective and my experiences. Click it. All right. All right, cool. So we're going to talk about goal setting. I have a book called Goals on Amazon, but we're going to go even deeper. I published that book a couple of years ago, and I've learned so much since then about not just goal setting, but the things that prevent us from achieving our goals, which is where the education should go, not just in college. We can all create that. So today, at the end of all of this, we're not going to spend too much time together, but you're going to know how to figure out what your purpose is. You're going to have a goal plan. You're going to know how to do quick goal setting. So you're going to leave at the time with me with a bunch of tools to go forth and pass. All right. So next slide, quicker. Oh, we're going to talk about a little bit about emotions and energy and time as well. A couple of things with regards to how I roll, some housekeeping stuff. You'll see QR codes throughout the presentation. They're all scannable and they'll link back to some type of resource that I put on my site for you guys. We'll have some exercises that we'll go through. So you guys should see the coaching book that has everyone's bios. Underneath it, there's a little notebook and a pen, so make sure you have what you need. Be present if you can. I know people have kids and transactions and money and all the things, so let's spend a little bit of time together being present in the moment. And then if you need anything at all, self-advocate. If I'm talking too fast, which I do because I get excited about this stuff, raise your hand, tell me to slow down. You can give me a slow down or send me too loud, whatever it is, let's communicate with each other and self-advocate. Make sure you have what you need to be successful, okay? All right, next slide. All right, a little bit about me. I am a true crime junkie, like crime junkie podcast all the way. I don't know why I'm obsessed with true crime. I think I'm a psych major, but like, I don't know why I love true crime. Anyway, so true crime junkie, so if you're a crime junkie, hi. I'm also a knowledge junkie. So I love information and I love learning about things that I don't know. And the more that I learn that I don't know what, right? The more you learn, the more you realize there's a lot you don't know. I grew up in South Phoenix, so South Side all day. Okay, I'm a little bit stubborn, pro and con to that. I'm a Capricorn and Aquarius right on the cusp, so combine all of that energy. And I have 4 kids. Max right there in the back is my oldest kid. He's, what are you, 12? Okay, 12.
You ain't that old.
And my daughter just turned 11, so I have 2 older ones that are like preteen, and then I have a 7-year-old and the baby, but I'll tell you about them in a second. So this is my tribe. My husband, that's Max, Kyla. This is Kyla and Max. They played on the same basketball team. They're fire on the court. We talk a lot about mindset at home, so they pull that into the court. This is Tristan. He thinks he is Devin Booker. And then this is the baby. This is Jackson. This is kind of old. He's trying to like walk and like open doors and all the things. So this is my tribe. This is my why. This is what motivates me to keep going. And I think that's important to understand. All right. So my lens shaping educational journey. Being from the South Side, I knew I had to get out and had to figure out how. I tried the music thing. I wasn't good, y'all. Nobody told me, but I wasn't good. I tried rapping, I tried singing. I can still get in the studio and produce some things, but I should not be on the mic. All right. I have a bachelor's degree from Northern Arizona University in public administration. I thought I was going to be an attorney for entertainment law. Life changed. I got pregnant with my son. So I wasn't supposed to do that. That's okay. Life will change the direction for where you're supposed to be. I have a master's degree from Liberty University in executive leadership. So I'm very comfortable talking about leadership concepts. And then I'm working on my PhD. I've done all my coursework for the PhD in psychology. I'm just finishing my dissertation, which is focused on African-American experiences in the workplace, in which I'm going to meet African-American males because they're underrepresented in research. So I'll be tapping you guys on the shoulders for that. But my goal is to help bridge some gaps in science, because science shapes policy, it shapes economics, and it shapes corporate planning. So I'm trying to go to the root and help fix some things there, but I'm spending time on it. Project management, Lean Six Sigma, organizational leadership, and stats from Harvard. I've done all these things. So I'm a nerd, like through and through. Next one. All right, some of my hobbies. This is one of my paintings, my little Buddha, because I'm high strung if you haven't figured it out already. So I've had to learn, oh no. I like yoga. I'm learning to like the Peloton. We're not there yet. Like love-hate relationship. They did the Lizzo thing. I was excited about that, but like I'm still learning to love that. And I love to read if you haven't figured it out. I really like self-help information books. I don't like novels, but I like true crime podcasts. So all the things. I'm a real person with all the interests. And I want to tell you the reason why this is important is because it'll tell you a little bit about my journey and some of the brands I've supported. These are people that I've either worked for, or supported from a consultant perspective, spoken, taught, something like that. If you notice some of these brands, they're pretty big. I helped with the Sprint T-Mobile merger before anyone from Sprint or T-Mobile knew that there was going to be a merger. So I trained all of their managers on how to hire consistently with the same hiring practices without them knowing that there was a merger coming. So that was like undercover. It was fun. I worked with Disney, Knott's Berry Farm, performed at those places in the past. Valley Leadership was a leadership group I was a part of as a teen. Worked with City of Phoenix. I toured 4th Avenue Jail before it opened. Like I've done some cool things in my life.
Hey, I recognize that.
That's the surprise. So this is Game Ride. Okay. Okay. Mr. Goins was the founder of Game Ride. Next slide. And I have a little surprise. Oh man, I didn't come up. Anywho, I met Kenyatta when I was like 16 years old. And I was a little young spring chicken. I had finished high school at 16. And I met him. We did some cool events and things back then. And then we came back together recently. So that was part of our journey. I have a picture of when I was like at your thing, but it didn't come out. So, well. Before we get started, I like to do a little bit of breath work for a couple of reasons. A, to kind of ground us and get us together, but also get some extra oxygen going to your brain. And this is a cool activity. Being a psych major, I learned about like diversity and all the things. If you take 2 short breaths in through your nose and breathe out a slow count of 4, it'll get you some extra serotonin. So let's do that 3 times. And there's a reason why I picked 3. I am into the power of 3. There's a lot of reasons why, but I've seen the value in this to start anything when it comes to speaking with people. So if you do that, that'd be great. And I'll just count us out. So if we can all take 2 breaths in, short breaths, and then 4 out. 3, 2, 1. 2 more times. Ready? And 2 short breaths in through the nose, and then 4 out. Thank you. One more time. 2 breaths in through the nose, 4 out. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So we have to start out when talking about goals, identifying your purpose. What is your purpose? I don't know. Most of us are like, well, I don't know. I like helping people. That's been my answer forever, right? Next slide. So we're going to talk about how to figure that out. There's an equation for it. Your purpose is the intersection of your passions and your gifts. So I do a lot of writing things out, T-charts, lists, because I am neurodiverse, and I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Next slide. So we're going to do an exercise. So if you could grab your notebook and just get an open page. All right, so this is the equation. Passions are the things that you love. Gifts are the things that you're good at. They don't always match, all right? And then purpose is the reason you're here. Your purpose, the combination of your passions and your gifts, where do they intersect? And that's what we're going to try to figure out. All right, so you have your little notebook, our little fake notebook here. My handwriting is not good enough. But on one side, you want to list out your passions and the other gifts. So figuring out where your passions are, it's going to be things like, for me, it's like painting or being creative. I like creating things. So this slideshow was fun to create. So anything creative is where I get excited. Anything information based or anything teaching. Like I like sharing information that I'm excited about and that I think will help other people. So I know that for me, my passions lie within creating or teaching or motivating. I like when other people are happy and they feel good about themselves. Yes, things that I'm good at are not always the things that I enjoy, okay? I have learned that being in social situations where I have to network without an agenda for me stresses me out, but I can do it well. And I'll tell you guys why in a little bit. That's a gift I have, but it's not something that brings me joy, right? But I know sometimes you have to do what you gotta do to get some done, okay? So list out a couple of things on each side. Next slide. And save that, all right? We're gonna come back to it. So I know this is one little nice graphic. We're gonna talk about kind of a road trip journey very briefly. This is how I highlight goal journeys. Next slide, but not a road trip. We're gonna do a road trip. I wish I had a click. I'm so sorry. All right, I can click my stuff. Perfect. All right, so this is easy goal setting. All right, I can teach you this in 5 minutes. I've taught it to elementary school kids. I taught it to my high school students. I taught it to my college students in 5 minutes. This is goal setting. This is not where we're gonna spend the bulk of our time. So you can take another page if you want. A goal is simply your current state, your goal state, and the plan to get there. That's all. That's all the goal setting is. It's super simple. 3 things: current state, your plan to get to your goal state, right? California, road trip, New York City, right? That was my goal. I lived in New York. So that's literally how you set a goal. But we're not going to spend time there. Just kidding. Oh gosh. Okay, cool. Just kidding. So goal achievement may not necessarily be simple. You can stop yourself from achieving your goals, and oftentimes it's you, not anybody else. And here's why: you allow people permission to create in your reality or not. It's all you, right? You have power over that. Okay, cool. So I want to share a little bit about my time philosophy. This is all going to come to the comments. I've learned that time for me is more valuable than money. I'm to the point where I'm making a lot of money consulting with these large tech companies. I've been targeting tech startups, and they're a hot mess, and they need my help, right? I make a ton of money, but guess what? To be here today with y'all, which I'm super excited to be here, there was a cost for me, and that was to not spend the morning with my kids. That's okay. It's a trade-off that I'm excited about because I need to get out of that house, and I love being around good people. But I've learned that my time is more valuable than money. So for me, in relation to transactions, right, it has to make sense for me to leave my kids for the day, right? Things like that. So you think about cost of time. Okay. Appreciate. Time is a limited resource. Time is something that you spend and you not get back. Money is an unlimited resource. Money flows where attention goes, right? We'll talk about that. But time is a limited resource. You have limited time, so you have to be really intentional and careful with what you do with your time. I'm so sorry. Okay. And money should be not tied to time. So if you think about your long-term goals in relation to EXP, if you always have your money tied to your time, you are limited on how much money you're going to make, right? So think about it in like a bill rate. Right now, I have a client, I'm a 1099 contractor for them, right? Like they've hired my business to provide a service. Not hourly, then, because I only have a limited amount of time, right? So if you're hourly employee, if you're hourly anything, you are limited on the number of dollars you can bring in, right? So we want to shift to values. Freedom of time is personally my ultimate goal of success when I try to think about what success looks like. For me, it's complete freedom of time. In order to get freedom of time, money was tied to that. I mean, I need to buy my time back from these businesses that I'm contributing for. I'm super. So I want to talk about limitations because I think a lot of people spend time in the light and fuzzy and warm and fuzzy stuff, and they don't talk about limitation, which is real. And that's what stops you from getting what you want to do. All right, so I'm gonna share with you my limitations when we get a little vulnerable, and share with you some things that not even you know about me. With regards to some of my limitations. Limitations are not good or bad, they simply are. They just exist. We assign meaning to our limitations, just as everything else. Next slide. So, I guess I'm not gonna talk about limitations. Okay, limitations next slide, go ahead next. All right, here we go, my limitations. I am on the autism spectrum. You wouldn't know it because I'm a master, all right? I can copy and mirror everything that people give to me, and I've been doing it my whole life, and I have an adult diagnosis of autism. Nobody knew that. And I didn't know that. We found that out today. I also have ADHD too. Surprise. All right, now we don't really figure it out. I have 4 kids, which could potentially be a limitation, right? Because it limits my time. It's a great limitation. But my time is limited because I'm with them all the time. I work from home, right? So they're with me. So sometimes I can't like go open a door for a client just because I have that realistic limitation. It's fine. My mother was a teen mother, and so was my father. Okay. I grew up in low income household, food stamps first of the month. Our refrigerator was full. End of the month, we were on ramen noodles, right? And sandwiches. Sometimes we had meat and sometimes they would just choose a meal. All right. So I grew up in a true low income household in South Phoenix. I'm a first generation high school graduate. And I'm about to get a PhD. So limitation, what? Right. Nothing is impossible. I'm a knowledge junkie. And if you guys remember, I put this bullet point in my intro because it's a strength and a weakness, right? I'm an analysis junkie. I pay attention to all the details, which is great, but sometimes I get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? Feminine energy gets stuck in analysis paralysis. And I grew up in South Phoenix, which is a pro and a con. I can understand a group of people that my corporate consulting clients cannot understand. You cannot go to the South Side without me. All right, you cannot do it. And you don't understand the struggles of these people. I do. And I can share them with you. So I can be a bridge builder because of my limitations, right? Or what some would consider a limitation. I'm stubborn. It's me to trouble sometimes, all right? These are all things that are, I put 4 kids, so I connected it, but that's the ADHD, all right? So this is the real deal. These are some of my limitations, okay? So the next thing I want you all to do is think about some of the real limitations that you have. So we're gonna do an exercise. You wanna turn your notebook to where it's this way. It's not gonna be a little way. It should be a top and a bottom of your notebook, and we're gonna work here at the bottom. All right, and we're gonna do a 90-second brain dump where you talk about some of your self limitations. It could be physical limitations. It could be neurodiversity. If you do have an ADHD or autism or any other neurodiverse diagnosis, that could be a limitation. Time or other resources, time, money, support, right? You shouldn't be lack of support if you're in this room right now. Bad habits, all right? Procrastination, overanalysis, these are bad habits, but we'll talk about them. Experiences can be limitations, right? We all have trauma that we carry, cellular, in our body, like it's in ourselves, it's ingrained in us. It simply just exists. But some of these experiences can mess us up. Like we can get nervous or scared going to the grocery store because we read this crime junkie story about people getting snatched up in the grocery store parking lot, and now we're scared to go to the grocery store. Like these experiences inspire us to tell ourselves stories, right? So our lived experience is shaped upon these real experiences. So sometimes those can be limitations and your beliefs. Sometimes your beliefs are simply messed up. My son said, I think this year is going to be better than last year. And what did I tell you? Whatever you say, whatever you say, whatever you say is true. Whatever you say is true. So if you say it's going to be great, it's going to be great. If you say it's going to be terrible, well, that's what you said. That's what you asked for. All right, so go ahead and take 90 seconds and just acknowledge some of your limitations. And I know what you're on the bottom. Yep. Okay. So the spiral should be at the top. And just take 90 seconds and just go. I'll sing. When you're done, just put your pen down so I know you're done. And don't judge yourself, just dump. Just dump it. You can tear this page off over there. I mean, okay. But you need to acknowledge your limitations and know what those look like. It's important. so review your list, just skim through real quick, and just take note of one emotion that you feel. It could be a thought, it could be a feeling. I'd like for you to identify a feeling if you can, and then sometimes hard. But sometimes our limitations can make us feel something, right? Oh, it's gonna be so much harder for me because I have all these things. Oh my gosh, I get nervous in social situations. Today's gonna be hard for me. Or it could be, all right, I'm gonna be out my comfort zone. I'm gonna meet with some people. I'm gonna get my healthy dose of human interaction today. Because it's gonna last me a good 30 days. This is gonna be fun and exciting, and I get to do something that, right? You can reframe how you look at things. So that feeling is real. It's valid, whatever feeling you thought of. But it doesn't have to be the emotion that you tie to the situation. So let's try to cross that out and pick something different. And if you guys are comfortable, if you want to take a couple of seconds and just kind of turn to something you're close to and maybe discuss why you think the emotion is initially negative that you feel when you look at things that are limitations, which have a negative connotation. I'm going to discuss that for like 50 seconds just with the person that's like next to you on the bill, and then we'll move on to the next one. Why not?
You didn't run
Are you telling yourself so their perspective is but it worked. I love that. All right. I hope you got some good information from your teammate. The reason why I have everyone go through that is just a reminder that everyone has a lived experience. Everyone. And no two lived experiences are parallel, no matter what. If you have two twins raised in the same household by the same parents and the same experiences by the same folks their whole entire life, their lived experiences will be different. Their perspectives, their lens will be different. And they'll have the same DNA structure, right? So there's a lot more nerdy stuff to that, but I think it's important to acknowledge that. And what was it that you told me?
So like my limitations I put down is that sometimes I can come across very like aggressive and very intimidating, especially in business conversations. And it's just because I know what I want and I don't have time to, you know what I mean? Like, let's just get it done. But really like my personality to the core of myself is very like kind and motherly and nurturing and loving and caring. So how do I feel? I just want to tell people, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because I'm like, let's get this done and efficient and, you know, aggressive about that, doesn't mean I'm not nice or that I don't love you.
Right. And that's critical. And I want, when I heard that, I was like, you need to tell yourself that. Don't judge yourself by what your limitations are, right? That they don't correlate. If they did, I would not be standing here because I was supposed to be a statistic and I'm not. So it depends on what story you choose to tell yourself, right? We're going to talk a little bit about psychology, all right? This should be the top part of the notebook that we're going to be using. The spiral should be at the bottom. So you have your limitations on one side and then you're going to use the top part. Right? We're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I am a nerd. I'm a psychology nerd. In Psych 101, I learned this and it has stuck with me. I've learned thousands of theories since then, but this one I think is the most critical for people to understand themselves. So when we talk about human needs, our needs as humans, as business people, the first thing we need are physiological needs, right? We need food, water, we need shelter, we need sleep, right? I have an 8-month-old baby that is super clingy and does not sleep more than like 2 to 3 hours in a night. I don't have a lot of sleep. So there's limitations to what I can and cannot do and how I show up sometimes because this is a human need that's not being met for me right now, right? Because of that, it's almost impossible to go up to the next level. So if you think about people that come from Southside, right? Not everyone, but me. I didn't have this growing up. I didn't know if I had or
And how
water
I show up
or shelter. Okay. I didn't know if I had that from day to day. So how can I become the best version of me without freedom? You cannot, right? Safety. Safety is critical. There are certain populations of people right now that do not feel safe. Job, health, property. Right there. Property in a room full of realtors. Property is a human need. People need shelter, but property as well. I own this. This belongs to me. I earned this. I accomplished this. People need that. So when you're helping them find a home, you're helping them with one of their innate human needs. Okay? Love and belonging is critical. We're not even to our highest and best self yet. All right? Love and belonging, friendship, intimacy. These are human needs. You cannot level up until these are met. Not completely. You can dabble in each of the levels. You're not going to be your highest and best self. So you achieve some of this. Human connection. That's why I said I need my dose of human connection. Virtual can only do so much. Esteem. This one is also critical. I see this a lot in the workplace. A lot of employees have a problem with esteem. They don't feel respected or heard. Seen, heard, understood, and really over here. Those are the themes that I've uncovered in my research. And then freedom. Look at that, freedom. My goal, right? Freedom. I want to be able to do what I want when I want, without having to have permission. Self-actualization is where a lot of us, I think, are coming to. It's like your desire to become your highest and best self. If here today you have something in you that's like, all right, I can do more. I got more in me. Let me do what I need to do in the best time in myself to get myself where I need to be. And then at the top, self-transcendence. This is your highest and best self. This is the goal, right? This is the ultimate goal for all humans, not just you. So if you look at this and you relate it to the other list you made, right, about your limitations, so you can kind of identify where your limitations fall within the hierarchy of needs, right? So if you're tying this back to a scientific theory, so you're not crazy for being stressed out about whatever it is you're stressed out about. This is real stuff, all right? Psychology proves it. It's a science becoming more respected by the day. And I want you to review. Next slide. And then I want you to do another quick chat about like your thoughts on that. Like just, and I'm not gonna have a leading question, just what are your thoughts on that? If you want to chat with the same person, it's fine, but just take a little bit to kind of chat with somebody else about what their thoughts are about the fact that our limitations are tied to our needs as a human. So go ahead, take like 90 seconds, not even 90, probably just need like 30, and chat with somebody. I'm just gonna eavesdrop.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Thank you.
Nothing's alone. Friendship.
And respect.
Respect, self-esteem,
So good.
self-acceptance, like the
Getting there.
rather than in a sense of freedom. I had a sense of purpose.
You're good. No.
Yeah, that's what I get.
You know, maybe that goes to my freedom.
I hope you all got some good little nuggets. Let's fill in your take today. Yeah, this is like the conversations I have with my kids. They go to school and they're like, well, technically, that's just to fulfill my need for it's that. I created my we're gonna move on to the self-determination theory, but there's more time to chat, because I don't know how to look at. One more theory I want to throw at y'all. Self-determination. All right, before we start, if you want to grab your phone and scan this barcode, it'll take you to a site called selfdeterminationtheory.org. That site has all of the resources and research about self-determination. Self-determination theory talks about motivation, right? So when we talk about our limitations, those things can hinder our motivation. When we talk about, when I showed you my family, that's my why. That adds to my motivation. It's an intrinsic motivator. So this site here, self-determination theory, just, save it in your Safari tabs, just in case you want to go back, because we're going to move through this. All right, cool. Self-determination theory is one of the theoretical frameworks that I'm using for my dissertation, meaning that's the lens that I'm going to look at my research results through. So when I said everybody has their own lens, science does too. You can look at a set of research through 10 different lenses, and you're going to get different results and explanations and conclusions based upon the lens that you're looking at it through. These lenses are old too. A lot of them are not updated in use, so there is limitations to that. But this one's important, and I think it's super helpful when we talk about human performance and our highest and best self. Autonomy, competence, and relatedness are the three pillars of the self-determination theory, which again is tied to motivation, like human motivation. There are also 6 mini theories that are also really interesting, and there's a goal setting theory in there. I don't base anything that I talk about on that, but some of it will resonate. Looks like we'll talk about these in detail. Okay, so again, triangle. We're talking about self-determination theory with a little bit of a visual. So if you want to take notes, you can. I think this will be helpful. The 3 areas we're going to talk about are first autonomy. All right, so that's going to be freedom. All right, it might just be the Aquarius in me that like really needs to be free. But I don't like being bossed around with told what to do, unless you're doing it with a helpful heart, right? Guide me in the right direction, but don't be unkind about it. Like that's as simple as that. Don't be disrespectful. Self-reliant. I like relying on myself. My biggest strength and weakness is that I can do a lot by myself, a lot, and don't ask for help. All right, so that's a plus in some aspects. I'm very self-reliant. But it's a con too, because I should probably ask for help more than I do. Learning, right? We're all about growth. And I try to keep it really real with y'all. Independence. So we all have a need for, within our motivation, of some type of freedom of some sort, right? You want a boss that doesn't micromanage. It could look like that. Or you want no boss. Is that what you said? Exactly. You want no boss, all right? Competence is the other one, right? Proficiency and expertise in your field. That's why y'all are here today. You're already committed to that, so you're motivated. Those come together, and I think that those two together create someone who is really living. Because everyone can kind of tie back to a feeling and they're like, oh, I wish I had more freedom. Or I wish I knew more about this. Or man, I wish I could talk about this in a way for people perspective. So it helps you to become connected, feel important, things like that. So some resources, these are some resources that I have, but you can click to the next one, I don't know. All right, so we're gonna practice speed goal setting. So think about all the things we just covered. We covered limitations, right? We already know what our limitations are, whatever, we're gonna put a positive spin on it. We know what our needs are as a human, right? So let's put it into practice. So we're going to go through a really quick goal setting session, thinking about all of those holistic things that we just kind of uncovered about ourselves and what you want to do next. So I'm sure you're like, when I go home, I'm gonna do this, right? So the first thing you're gonna do is write out your purpose at the top of it. So clean page. We're gonna go through a quick goal setting. This is how, when I'm in a pinch, I personally have to write it down on a paper. Even writing on my iPad doesn't feel the same, because I know that your brain processes information as it's written on paper. So always get a scratch paper to be the back of the receipt. It does not matter, okay? Write out your purpose at the top of the page. That's gonna be your lens. You're gonna look at the goal setting process through the lens of your purpose, right? What am I gonna do? What do I need to do to get to my purpose? What do I need to do to live in my purpose? And then, well, we don't need 30 seconds, you guys probably already did it. Timer's built in. All right, so the next one you're gonna do is gonna write your goals. All of your goals should be in alignment with your purpose. anything that you're doing with your time should align exactly with what you want to, how you want to be living your life, which is in alignment with your purpose. If your goals are tied to your purpose, they probably are wasting your limited resource of time. Yeah. So you want to think about that. Where do you want to go? So we thought about the goal trip, right? Starting point for me was South Phoenix, like of my life, right? Starting point was like South Phoenix, even before that, other places that I live. Goal stated today. I'm living my dream. I'm literally living my dream. I never thought it was possible. But figure out where you want to go, right? There are other things I want to do. Next slide. It's only 30 seconds. Let's get the time in. All right, in this moment, where are you in relation to your goal? So we have what we want to do, right? Where are you in relation to that? Where are you today, in this moment? Sitting in this chair, with your feet on the ground. Where are you in relation to where you're trying to go? If you're trying to save $100,000 to have that in your account, how far away are you from that, right? I currently have $20,000 for that. I put the timer so that we would do y'all. And how will you get there? So you need to determine what steps you're going to take to get to your destination, and you're going to really quickly list as many items as you can in 60 seconds. And they don't have to be things you can do today. They can be big, small, all the things. Action items, actionable steps. I'm going to deposit $5 a day into my bank account on the savings side instead of going to Starbucks. Not me, but maybe y'all. So think about all of the action items. Big action items usually have small sub-action items tied to them. So think about all of those steps that you want to do. You're trying to save money, name your bank account. Okay? I have a forget you fund, which is the name of my savings account. Meaning, I can say forget you to any situation, job, client, partner, if I have to. There's a story behind that one. But I can say forget you. I'm out at any moment because I have a forget you fund. And that is my savings. It's my savings account. But when I put money into it and it says forget you fund, I'm like, yeah, I'm making sure I can say forget you to whatever situation does not make me happy. Right? So I have trying to build some freedom, right? So I say name your bank account. Identify any limitations. So this is your risk management list, right? What are the risks? What are the things that could come up that could stop you, right? If you're working a 9 to 5, your schedule is a limitation. Go ahead. So this is 60 seconds. I'm sure all the limitations that could stop you from getting where you're trying to go. Right? Your time, your car is not working. You need a new car. You know, so that you can get to clients. You don't know something. You don't know how to get there. Maybe that's the limitation. It's not known. That's realistic. Maybe limitation is resources. Again, if you're in this room, it shouldn't be support. You have a ton of support. You have access to a ton of support. But if you feel the support is the limitation, how are you going to seek out people to support you? What do they look like? Where are they at? Let's go find them. How are we going to connect with those people? So list out all your limitations. The next slide. I'll let you pass. And bonus points if you can create a contingency plan. Meaning, if your limitations come up as like a speed bump or a roadblock in your journey, what are you going to do? Well, I don't feel like waking up at 5 today, but I have to wake up at 5 because if I wake up at 5, it's the only time that I have for myself to plan for my business before I go work my 9 to 5. But today I don't feel like waking up at 5. Then what? You have to remember and tie it back to your intrinsic goal, which for me is like, I need freedom so that I don't miss my son's first steps. It's that critical. So I need to get my tail out first, all right? Or he will come in and be like, Mom, we gotta go. I'm like, no, I need 5 more minutes. And then I realized I did a great job at teaching him to get himself ready to go. I need to practice what I preach so that he can respect me. He knows. This morning I was struggling. But there was that internal, like, I'm gonna do this so I can do that, right? So there's a trade-off. And next slide, click, because you guys already did it. All right, you guys just created an entire goal plan, less than 5 minutes. Y'all were like 3 minutes. That is how you plan. That is it. I have taught and guided multi-million-dollar corporate leaders, and they do not understand this. They do it, they don't realize what they're doing. Their power, this million-dollar power is in self-awareness, right? And understanding things like resources of time, right? And the value of partnerships and relationships. Kenyatta and I met when I was 15 years ago. I wasn't thinking about being a realtor. I was gonna be Beyonce before there was Beyonce. But I was not gonna be Beyonce. But I thought I was gonna be Beyonce, okay? But I was trying to be like Lizzo before there was a Lizzo because I was trying to rap and think it was bad. All right, it was just a bad plan. That's when I met him, but we stayed connected, right? And now I get to be here with all of you, and I didn't know that then. I was a kid. I just finished high school, wasn't sure if I was gonna go to accept the Stanford scholarship and go to Stanford at 17, or if I was too scared, and I didn't go. But now we're here, right? So there's a plan. There's a plan. Always a plan, and you now have the ability to do it under 5 minutes. All right, so who's ready to smash their goals? Because now you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if there's something that you can do in the next 30 seconds, maybe from your list, maybe not, that will move you closer to your goal. Can we, like, is there something that you can do? Maybe it's go shake hands with a new person, because you know you need the knowledge, right? Maybe it's look up a resource, maybe it's Google something. Let me tell you, if I had Google when I was a kid, life would have been different. You need to do something within the next 30 seconds because you got to strike while I'm hot, while you're feeling good, while you're feeling motivated, and move you closer. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. And let's see if you can accomplish one thing. May or may not be up to it. 30 seconds. One action item. And if you need help, I can help you figure out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Figuring out your purpose. So go back to
You should get
No,
no. Yeah.
well, that could be the purpose.
Well, that's okay. Yeah. It's for next month. It open. It seems like a day.
So you're and you have somebody who knows all about, there's a position, right?
Oh, yeah.
You already work with him? I was about to say, there's a position, right? You've got Kenyatta, right? He's a resource. Yeah, good. Okay, did everybody do something, accomplish something? Woo, it is something, Kenyatta. No, we finished 2 minutes early. I never finished early. I talked to it, y'all. We did so good. So that was my goal for the day, was to finish on time. I was here on time. I finished on time. So thank you. That is all I have for you. If you have questions during the break, we're on a break now, right? If you have questions during the break, I'm gonna be around for at least a couple more hours. So I'm here to help. If you need help with anything. Last slide, I think, has my contact information. Oh, we have to close with breathing, but we'll do that. This is a QR code for all my socials. So if you want to find me on social media, that's how I normally wear my hair. But I was like, I'm gonna switch it up here today. We're gonna do like instead of the high bun, because that's the only thing I know how to do. You scan this, you can find me on socials to connect with me. Right, it'll take you to my page to talk about social. I'm working on my podcast again. I'm bringing the podcast back. And then we'll talk about real estate. We'll talk about right now it's spiritual stuff in there, but the podcast is everywhere the podcasts are. And then social media will be where all the announcements. So we're working on the app and a virtual gathering space that I'm still trying to name to bring everyone together. So all right, let's close with breathing. All right, so we'll do the same breathing exercise. Inhale twice through your nose, and then 4 count. Exhale through the mouth. All together, in through the nose, and 4 out. 2 more times, in through the nose. Out through the mouth. 1 more, in through the nose. I'll put them up. Thank you. Okay,
We're going to break,
all right. It'll take out.
but I think Tori has something to say.
Oh.
Is that dynamic?
That was amazing.
Are you learning something?
Yes,
Are we bringing you value today?
yes.
All right, so we're gonna take a short break. Might need to use the restroom or something else, and we're gonna reset some things and get ready. They're back there preparing lunch. There is fruit and stuff ready for now. There's donuts, you want some, and there's donuts in the kitchenette, there's waters, of course. Please help yourselves. Well, you're not strangers. This is one big happy family.
Happy family.
Happy family. We're doing it. So go have a break and there's coffee too, right? Yeah, there's coffee back there. Let's get ready for the next teacher.
Great.
He's gonna be great. All right.
Yeah, it's cooled down a bit,
Yeah.
finally.
Like sweating.
Amen. This is cool. We got how to do a fantastic stuff.
Got a little nitro pool with Renegade, right?
Bro, is that by the pond?
So there's one at South Scottsdale right off of Chaparral, and I want to say Granite Reef. And then there's one in Mesa as well.
Have you been to the one in Mesa? I think it's the one in Mesa that has the pond. You know, my buddy go, I'm pretty sure it's Renegade. I could be wrong, but.
It might be a different village there.
Dylan Early, the one with the mustache and the Kingsbury.
Yeah.
He and I meet every Thursday for coffee,
Oh, beautiful.
at that spot. It's on Way Road.
The Renegade.
Ray Road in Chandler. So I don't.
Gotcha.
Renegade, but
The Renegade is based off the university.
anyways.
Awesome spot.
It's,
Oh,
yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah, it's what I'm talking about. We gotta go.
Yeah.
I go like on the sunrise. That's when he and I meet like 5:30. The sun is rising over the water. It's like, well, the only place with water is, yeah, so.
Yeah, let me go.
So you gotta
here.
capitalize on it.
I go every morning after church. Pick up my nitro pool drink.
The revised, revamped version of stewardship, gratitude for security. Clarity on it. It's
Are you speaking off the cup or are you doing a presentation?
gonna be next. From what you saw, Florida.
Gives us more opportunities to improve day by day.
Sharp
Gotta
on the
keep
sword.
doing it over
Sharp
and
on the
over,
sword,
man.
man.
Gotta keep it over.
Hi.
Thank you. I think I'm gonna grab a little snack. Yeah. No, I'm
Man. Thanks, bro. How are you? Honestly.
That's some of the stuff I do.
I know.
It's like, I need to collab with her.
No, I. Okay. As far as feelings or obviously things shift as technology. Things are always going out. Help my clients. That's yeah, you know, people are not used to it. So Yeah, it's a huge training for like just like get into that space. Very useful. Your new clients and you're getting the last talking. Yeah.
I literally do like 4 different slides. It's like I'm trying to dial this in. I'm just trying to get it 2 days. I know it's like looking back at it now. That's it.
Good. Thanks for coming. Exciting stuff.
By the way, we gotta sit down. We gotta sit down. Yeah, you're welcome. Have you got a max phone a little bit more now? Just,
I was gonna.
I think the market is going. The market is going down. And it was like, it's kind of weird. And like, if you're banking, or like a certain companies, with the credit, it's like backwards with the market. Like when interest rates are high, for us, like mortgages, stuff. The participation rates and the carry rates inside the market rise because they're starting. And the loans get like less tomorrow you think the bigger credit. Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I didn't even, honestly, no lie, I did not know that until like 2 weeks before the event. Because I had a conversation with one of the VP, actually the VP of Symmetric, Nate Cole. I was talking to him, I was like, so like, what is this like high interest rate environment? So like, and he was like, actually, like, so excited. That means the cap rates are going up, the participation rates are going up, participation rates. Bonus. So like the average participation rate is like 100%. The earnings off like dollar on the dollar, right? So saying your earnings, the participation rate increases to like 135%, 155%. That means that you're earning like $1.5 every dollar. So you're getting like an extra $30. That all happens in high interest rate scenarios. So, when the market outside is good and like the interest rates are low, it just like the cap rates should like calm down a bit, and the participation rates like also like 7%. So I go well because in good economies where interest rates are low and markets perform well, you're getting $1 on $1. And when the economy is bad, you either zero out, or that 0% floor, or if you actually turn, you actually get a little.
So what's the button that I was passionate about?
And this reminds me of like New Year's, big, you know? The 12.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta. Yeah, man, I gotta think so bad. I gotta go on this. Yeah, I gotta be clean over here. Yeah, that's what you think take home. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the bathroom. I can say.
Go ahead, you can go ahead.
Are you sure? Cause I.
Yeah, we're on.
I wasn't saying anything. Just to make
You don't wanna be
sure.
up there and have to go.
But after someone.
Sure. Go.
It would be, here, I just, here, it's to me. Never got, you know, I got education, I got my bachelor's. But I never got. Yeah. It was back in the day. This is.
Yeah.
These are straight. These are straight.
Thank you so much.
No.
And I'd like your son. Yeah, I'd like to see. Send me an email, don't.
Come on, see you sometimes. Yeah.
I'll put your man. Thank you.
You did plans already?
Yep.
He's gonna pump us up.
No, I don't need it. I've been here for like.
That's right when you probably say.
Sorry, I'm not.
He's messing with
All
you,
the
they know
time.
each other.
I was thinking, I was like.
Thank you, bro. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm doing what you want.
I need to be in a session. I need to come.
Wait.
I can run the board at a
Turn
session.
it up.
Let me know. I'm at that. For real, I can run the board. Yeah. Like random. But I have. I don't know why, but I know how to run the board. And I can run. That's all right.
So,
No, hold on. Really? So it's just fine. If they ran the fire, yeah, how to make more money, but also how to leverage your business from your own.
Okay, best I can do.
The reason I'm gonna talk here, it was part of the probably good things, working, doing with my own property, you have like two things. And I can make. Yeah, I think you're gonna like it.
Okay.
I've looked at it and just go, I.
know what I've been doing? Yeah. I'm thinking, oil is breaking drops. 10 drops. My husband was on that.
Yeah, come on, you ready? Shut off all the pumpers again.
Okay, you have 20 minutes,
Okay.
and I'll give you the 5-minute warning.
Perfect.
Already played. And we'll just
Okay.
non-verbal.
Yeah, I usually get it there within 15.
Yes.
But you give me the extra
I'll keep you posted. I
Hey,
got you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You used to it. But I swear by it. My grandma used to bet you. It is. You just figured it out. Hey, God is great, Cinnamon. Right?
Thank you for the great music and beautiful visuals. The lighting is great. Okay. So we're gonna talk about money, y'all. Money.
Right.
You talk about motivation, now we're gonna talk about money. We're gonna talk about how to use our money for our own good. And help
Just because we
help
save,
ourselves
don't mean we
with our
can't
money.
get paid.
Self-reliant or free from the typical bank mortgage system. So, introducing Mr. Wolf, tell us about infinite banking. Thank you, my friend.
I appreciate it. I
Have a
have the
clicker.
pleasure. Okay, can everybody hear my voice? Do I need a mic or?
You're good.
I think I can project pretty well, so. Cool. How's everybody doing today? Everybody good? Awesome, awesome. So how many of you guys know me and like where I come from?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So half yes, half no. Okay. So I was born and raised in Spain, Barcelona. Came here when I was about 16 or so. Just kind of give you a little bit of background of like why I'm doing what I'm doing and essentially my topic and what it's going to be about. Where I came from, there was not much about, there was not a lot to do when it comes to having your own sovereignty, like owning essentially like your own business and be able to be financially free. So a lot of the European countries that you hear about is the government is very involved within your business, within your finances and stuff. So it was very hard for our family to be able to essentially break through. So when I came to the United States, I already came with a mentality that, you know, the United States is a land of opportunity, is a place where you can actually become sovereign of your own assets. And that was essentially why I named my company Sovereign Assets. So now that I'm here in the United States, my whole goal behind it was I wanted to figure out a way on how to teach other people by example on how to actually have ownership and stewardship of their own finances. So I started just selling traditional life insurance, and that's kind of what piqued my interest in the financial world. And that's when I eventually took the role as an advisor. And what I'm going to be talking about today is a little bit unorthodox. It's not common for most people to hear what I'm going to be talking about. However, a lot of people, a lot of the high net worth individuals like the Rockefellers, I've used these strategies for years upon end. So how many of you guys have heard of infinite banking or become your own banker? Okay, so again, not a lot of people have heard about it. Yep, super interesting, and I'm actually super excited to dive into this. So the whole idea actually came from one of my clients, one of actually my best clients to this day. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was having a conversation with him because he wanted to find a way where he can essentially store his cash in a way that he can also capture interest, but also be able to use his own cash at the same time that he's earning interest to invest into real estate, for example. And that piqued my interest because I was like, well, this doesn't sound like you can do it, right? Like, there's no way that you can like get paid for borrowing your own money. And my client told me something that to this day still stuck with me. It's like, listen, well, I'm not your client for you to tell me what we can't do. So find out how we can do it. And hung up. So at that point, I was like, okay, so I don't want to lose my best client because I was like pretty brand new in my industry. So all I started doing is just I started calling the wholesalers of the company. I even like went up to my uplines and my mentors. I was like, hey, like I need to get an answer to this. I need to figure out how we can do this. And then one of my mentors actually gave me the phone number to the VP of one of the insurance companies that I was contracted with. I asked him, I was like, hey man, so this is what he's telling me. Like, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but like, it's not possible, right? And I was like, no, actually, like, this does work. And essentially, after that conversation over the past 4 years, I've become humbly, an expert in infinite banking and secure compounding. And all I've made my mission to do was how to be able to teach people how to leverage their own money in as little as like a year, 2 years, 3 years. But the average time I tell most people that this works is within 5 years or less. And most of us here are in this event because of real estate, right? We are either investors, we're either realtors, or we have some sort of interest in the industry. So a lot of the times what happens is we start with the banks and we continue to leverage the banks until, we have a huge portfolio. But what if we can change the narrative? And what if we can eventually become our own lenders? This book I'm going to recommend to all of you guys, which is a book that essentially made me tap into this industry a lot deeper. It's called What Would the Rockefellers Do? In this book, it teaches you the concept of infinite banking in a much deeper fashion that I'm going to be going over today, because I only have a limited time to talk about it. And to be honest, it can get pretty convoluted. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. And if any of you guys want to learn a little bit more about it, like my information is going to be posted up here as well too, so you guys can also contact me. But I want you guys to take a look at it as, what would you do if you could become your own lender and essentially do the same thing that the banks are doing? Which, if you guys don't know what banks are doing, the banks are able to leverage 9 times whatever cash reserves they have. That's why if you go to the bank and you have like $10,000 in there, that bank is going to go out and loan out $90,000, right? So what if you could do something similar to that, where you can essentially earn money on the same dollar twice? So let me see if I can figure this out. There we go. I don't even know what button this is.
Is it turned on?
I think so.
Is it turned on?
It says it has battery.
It's just building our anticipation.
That's right.
To know.
It's all planned, guys. It's all planned. Works. Cool. Which one is it? This one? Okay, cool. Perfect. Cool. So first things first. In order to be able to do infinite banking, you have to have a secure compounded account. Secure compounded account, to break it down in layman's terms, is a max-funded index universal life insurance contract that's built not for death benefit, but it's built for cash accumulation. And this is very important. When somebody tells you the word life insurance, what's the first thing that you think? Death, right? However, when you think about home insurance, what do you think about? Protection of your home, right? Your phone insurance, same thing. Your car insurance, same thing. So how come is it that when we think about life insurance, we think about death and not life, right? It's because we've been marketed to think that life insurance can only be used when you're dead. But life insurance actually started as a way for you to be able to leverage it through living benefits. Anybody has heard of whole life? Okay, so-
Yes.
Perfect. So whole life is the pioneer of permanent insurance accounts. So it was essentially that's how the Rockefellers essentially did it through their own living trust. Their situation is a little bit more complicated, right? Because they have the family office that goes to a trust, and that's essentially they use a whole life insurance policy in there because they've had it for hundreds of years, and well, not hundreds of years, but about 100 years now. And that's essentially how they leverage their own money. But nowadays, there's a hybrid of what term insurance is and what whole life is, which essentially brings both benefits together and essentially have supercharged what a whole life policy would be. So essentially, the whole idea behind these type of life insurance policies is for you to have the smallest amount of life insurance possible to reduce the cost as much as possible, and also be able to participate in the market without any of the losses. So essentially, you have the best of both worlds because you can still earn high interest in your own money, and you also have the life insurance benefits by being tax-free. And now you'll see a couple of examples of clients, like real statements that have happened over the past year or so. But anyways, with a secure compounded account, the benefits that include are, because it's inside of a life insurance contract, you have tax-free withdrawals, tax-free growth, and when you pass away, it also blossoms tax-free. If you guys want to write these down, these tax codes for your own research is 7702, 72E, and 101A. These tax codes are essentially what allows you to be able to grow your money tax-free, to access it tax-free, and pass it on tax-free. Now, how can you use a secure compounded account, right? As an individual, let's just say you don't have a business yet, you haven't gotten your real estate license, you're not an investor yet, but you want to get started somewhere. Instead of saving your money in a savings account where it's earning 0 point nothing, right? You can essentially start your own legacy bank or your own private bank by essentially opening one of these secure compounded accounts. Whether it's you want to use it as a retirement plan or you want to use it as estate planning. You can also use it as a college fund for your kids. Plenty of clients that wanted to essentially set up their kids for the future. That's essentially, they start with anywhere as little as $200 a month where they set it up, or they can go up to a $500 or $1,000 a month where they can essentially just set it up, and the kids will be able to have access to that money tax-free to use it for college, a business, a car, whatever they want without any limitations by the IRS. Now, we're here to talk about real estate, right? So as an individual, you can use the same exact strategy to buy real estate. As a first-time home buyer, by using a down payment, right? Instead of using your own cash, you can use it within inside the infinite bank, where you can essentially leverage your own money to put as a down payment while still earning interest inside of the account. Now, as a business owner or as an investor, there's even bigger benefits. If you have an LLC or some type of corporation where you're earning X amount of dollars and you need an additional tax write-off, guess what? You can pay yourself an executive bonus plan, and under the IRS code, any money that the LLC or the corporation pays you as the executive for that bonus becomes a tax write-off, and you as an individual can have access to that money tax-free. So instead of going out and buying a G-Wagon, which is an appreciating asset, right? You can put it inside of this executive bonus plan, and then if you want to go buy a G-Wagon, do it. Because that money that's going to be inside of this executive bonus plan is going to be earning you interest as well too. Now, again, as a business owner, you can buy it as a real estate, so you can essentially create a mini hedge fund within your firm. So if you have a bunch of investors that have a bunch of money, you can create a small little hedge fund to be able to generate this kind of a private bank. So now, the idea of positive arbitrage or infinite banking, like I said, is to be able to use the same dollar twice. So imagine if you have $1 million inside of your infinite bank, right? And now you want to be able to use that money. Instead of actually withdrawing the cash on a wash loan, which is like they charge you 4% and they credit you 4%, you essentially are going to go out to the insurance company and say, hey, listen, I'm good for $1 million, which means that if I pass away tomorrow, you have to pay that $1 million anyways to my family on top of that death benefit. So now, what the insurance company is going to do is that they're going to give you a participation loan. On average, it's going to cost you anywhere between 4 to 5%. Some insurance have a variable rate, but usually I like to work with some companies that give you like just a fixed rate that does not go up. Okay, but let's just say it costs you 4%, And then inside of that policy, because it's tied to certain indexes like the S&P 500, the New York Stock Exchange Zebra Edge, the what's it called, the Barclays index, depending on whatever index you have, because it's averaging 7, 9, 10, 12%. Think about it. You're earning interest inside of that account, and instead of them charging you to then credit you, all they're really going to do is they're going to subtract that, and they're just going to give you the spread. So I'm not avid in real estate yet, but I'm assuming you can make pretty good interest, right? Pretty good gains in the real estate game. So I said, you know, if you put it into long-term real estate, you can probably average 24% in the long run. So now if you have $1 million cash that you invest into real estate, and you're also making an extra average, you know, 3% spread inside of your own money, now you're getting close to that 27% return that you made on the same dollar because you had money, making money in two different firms. So I'm making sense so far? Cool. So I'm gonna speed through this because I think I'm running out of time, but this is an actual statement from March of 2021, literally at the end of that COVID bounce back. So this is an actual statement of a client that had $1.2 million inside of it, earned 61% returns, and that was all tax-free, by the way. But that was not it yet, because there's more. Some of these insurance companies will give you a performance factor, which is essentially like a multiplier. So now you can multiply the 61% times 2.49, and this client earned 1.8 million in tax-free interest. Now, disclaimer, past performance is not indicative of future results. Obviously, this was just a lucky client that literally got in when the market was at the lowest and then it had to bounce back. But to give you kind of an idea of how these policies work, they all have a 0% floor, which means that you don't lose money in negative markets, and they have uncapped gains as well too. Okay, and a lot of these accounts don't have any cost additional. The only thing you have to worry about is the cost of insurance. So I actually had an example. I picked an example for somebody that's putting $1 million in over the next 10 years, because a lot of people think that if you have a life insurance policy, you have to pay for life. That's not the case. If you just upfront it, like front loading it, just literally for cash accumulation, you can do it, for example, in as little as 5 or 10 years. And in this case, I wanted to showcase a client that put $1 million in over the next 10 years and started borrowing money within that same time frame. This client put in $1 million in, used 500,000 of it, and it's still in the cash value, still had $1.3 million in there because the money never left the account. So I'm making sense so far? Cool. So if you guys want to take a picture of this, I know you guys can review it yourself later, because again, I don't want to go over the time, but essentially the whole idea is like, not only you can use this as your own private banking system, but if you take a look at age 65, this client also starts pulling out $400,000 as tax-free income for the rest of his life. So it essentially becomes a tax-free cash cow at this point.
So can you do this up until you're like 55, you think?
You can do it at any age you want. The cutoff is 85. It's just the way that you do it is it has to be strategically built. That's why you have to work with an agent that's experienced in this, that knows exactly how to build them. Because I'll tell you this, full disclaimer, if you work with an amateur that does not know how to structure these, it could be the worst thing you ever do. So I'm even like humble enough to say like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable working with me because I'm 25, I'll refer you to somebody that has like a lot more experience. So, but I can build these to however you want to perform. So lastly, that's my QR code right there. My information here, 805-405-1469 is my direct cell phone. If anybody wants to text me, call me, whatever, any questions you have. Sovereign Assets az@gmail.com is my direct email. If anybody wants to shoot me an email as well too, or you can follow me on Instagram. I'm a little goofy, but educational as well too. I try to make it as interactive as possible. That QR code is going to take you to a form, essentially, if you guys want to learn more about infinite banking, or you guys have any questions about specific details, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'd be delighted to help.
A question, if
Yes.
we're realtors and we have a PLLC, is that our own company?
Yep.
It can't be a sole proprietor, we have to put in a PLLC,
That's
correct?
perfect. Yeah. Because at that point, it becomes still a corporation, right? And especially
Right.
after a certain amount of money, you can turn it into a C corp or an S corp.
An S corp, right, okay, I understand.
And at that point, you can use the executive loan sponsor.
I didn't know if the IRS was having any issues with realtors doing that, I don't,
I actually have a lot of my clients are realtors.
Okay,
Because the thing about realtors is like they make a lot of money
right.
and they either 100% reinvest it back into real estate, which is not a bad idea, by the way. But I always say I tell people this, it's like, hey, if you're a realtor, you're making a lot of money, right? Why don't you set aside just a little portion of it inside of this infinite banking, keep
Right.
making your money, right? And then when you have enough cash value built in there, start leveraging your own money. And you'll see that you end up like killing two birds with one stone. Because now you have tax-free income, tax write-off, and then essentially if you buy that real estate, you get the additional 6 tax benefits or the 6 financial benefits extra that you have from owning real estate.
And what is the smallest amount that you can invest to get anything? I mean, to really be in that, I mean, I won't have $1 million a year.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
most people won't.
So my average clients can, like, they put anywhere between like $100 a month, or they use it like a yearly plan where they put like $10,000 a year.
10,000.
Yeah.
And then 5 years, is that give you something?
Yes, absolutely. If it's built the right way, then yes, you have a lot of cash value built in there because it's all based on interest. So, sorry, like they're looking at it like that. Do we now have a Q&A coming up? Right?
We do,
Yeah,
we do.
cool.
We
Yeah,
will
you guys
have
are,
a Q&A coming.
yeah, you guys are questions. I just don't want to kind of
Save your questions, write them down, because this is good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I talk so much. I apologize.
No.
Thank you.
We'll have you back again. Yeah, let's give them a.
Like, mind blown. I'm sitting out there like, no way. Mind blown. Thank you for
Thanks.
sharing that. Woo! Let me
Thanks,
Alright.
I appreciate that.
We have. To talking about the purpose pursuit. I'm excited. And I want to thank y'all again for being here. This is cool to share this type of knowledge with people and then have that energy like reciprocated with questions. So I know the speakers feel that way too. So thank you for being here. All right, Dylan, are you ready?
That's it.
All right, welcome.
Let's go, Dylan.
All right, I might, yeah, we're good on the mic. Awesome. So, yeah, let's dive in. So, wanted to kind of go through, slideshow, just tell a little bit about myself, my story, right? Get kind of an idea of like who is this guy, right? So just to kind of kick it off, I think this is appropriate. My logo, just to start there. So Dylan, first name means the lion. So hence the lion. Leroy, my middle name, I didn't throw that up there, but it means the king. So had to have intention with the logo, but just want to kind of give an idea of like overall broad of what I do. So that's kind of the, I put leadership expert, right? Elite Leadership Consulting is the business name. But that all in all is just, I love helping people find a purpose, right? The purpose pursuit was on the sheet that I'm talking about. But we'll kind of dive in here in a little bit more detail. So basketball background, right? I'm 6'7", short. So, but
Yeah, right.
I really basketball was my passion, still is, but kind of put that aside to transfer into business. But long story short, this is high school. My first game of my varsity season. The news was there. It was first game, and so I was on a fast break, caught it, dunked it, and it was on the newspaper, and that was kind of when my career lifted off. To be honest with you, so went into college, played college at University of Mobile, played a little bit overseas at the professional level. I did not play for Puerto Rico. I did not play for New Zealand. Just want to clarify, but I did play for an organization that represented the United States, which was awesome opportunity to travel, to impact, to be able to use basketball as a platform to get my message out there, to share my heart, which was my faith, right? And I think we all can align that here in this room. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the basketball background, right? And transitioning into this next phase, which is stewardship, right? So Wolf spoke on, well, I will say Simmons spoke on how to make the money with purpose, right direction. Wolf spoke on how to keep the money or like how to generate the money, right? What to do with it. I'm going to teach on how to keep it, how to steward it, how to have gratitude with what you have, and then pursue more as the Lord blesses you with it, as you steward what you have, be able to receive more. So here's the definition, right? The responsibility of taking care of something, managing it, controlling it, and handling it as an asset. So low point, right? We've all had challenges. Sim was very vulnerable. I wanted to be just kind of transparent on a couple things, right? This is just opportunity for me to go outside of myself, right? Had a transformation, had a pivot. And about 2 years ago, I was 300 pounds. Standing up to today, probably about 70 pounds in about 2 years. So my life just completely shifted. I started to take ownership. I started to steward my assets. My beautiful pride up here, man, my rock, right? My ride or die. So, I just wanted to kind of share, like, hey, this is the journey that I've been on. I won't dive into too much detail just for time reasons, but I wanted to put that up there because, all of us, family is huge. And that's kind of our generator, that's our motion, that's our why. So yeah, I feel like I covered that. So let's next slide. So the conference, right? So what does that mean, Bill? So went to, at that low season and low point of my life, I was at an opportunity to shift, to pivot, right? So when I was at that low point, I had I would say a revelation of like, Bill, you're being complacent, you're being stagnant, you're not living with purpose. And so I got invited to a conference, and just kind of throwing this up there. This is Coach Michael Bird. Coach is just a little bit of background on Coach. He's a former women's basketball championship coach, turned into a multimillionaire through coaching, through helping people find their purpose, passion. Written several books. Lives in Nashville. He's one of my mentors. Incredible man, and he trains EXP realtors and helps them kind of find, discover passion and so definitely look him up, Coach Michael Bird on Instagram. But just kind of wanted to give his background because he's the one who helped me take my basketball background, my tenacity, my ambition, my hunger for basketball, and transfer it over into the business side. He taught me how to do that. He said, at the conference, I'll never forget it. He spoke and said, "Dylan, it's time to go pro." I went professional level at the basketball level, right? So now it's time to go pro in business. So met a guy named Clayton. This is all on stewardship, right? So I want to kind of dial this back into the actual message of stewardship. At this conference, I stewarded what I had, which was $200 in the bank account at the time, right? We can all relate to this story. The come up, right? The rise. Because I feel like at the time, like, the Lord has to kind of level us out to make sure we're aligned with Him, so He can take us to the highest level that He wants us to go. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of give that context, bring it back to stewardship. So I had to steward that $200 with my wife and I, living in the backyard of my mother-in-law's house, right? Can't even pay my mother-in-law rent, right? Like, it's just a tough season. But God was still there. He said, I am with you. I am with you. I just over and over and over again. So that being said, I wanted to, just kind of share that background. Got the opportunity to go to this conference, right? My wife trusted me, said, "Hey, we got $200, but I trust you. I trust you." I can't look at you. So with that trust, she was able to believe in me. And gave me the opportunity to go to this conference. I spent $180, $20 left. And that $20 went, look at this guy, Clayton. We call ourselves the Twin Towers. Definitely a business partner. Obviously, I found somebody taller than me, right? It's kind of cool. But so yeah, this was a guy named Chris Rood. He's a real estate investor. This is his conference. I spoke on Coach Bird. I kind of jumped the gun, but anyway, so that kind of opportunity to be in the room with people who think bigger than you, right? That's the whole reason we're in this room, is because we're stretched. We're able to get outside of our comfort zone, learn from people who are experts in their space, right? You know, all these people that are here to pour into you guys. But I learned a ton just sitting here. You know, it's an environment to learn. It's not about me. It's not about, you know, the speakers. It's about how can we grow together in this room, steward this room, and steward this opportunity. So I just wanted to kind of bring that in, and that conference was a huge pivotal moment in my life. So kind of back to the story, poured, you know, $20 in this guy, bought him lunch, and that was all I had. So I'm like, how am I getting home? Post-conference, obviously I talked about Coach. He kind of gave me the fire, the motivation, but now it's time to take action, right? So the action taking portion of it was, you know, first, how do I get home? So $0 a bank account. I'm literally walking in the lobby of the hotel of the place where the event's at, right? It's Marriott or whatever it was. I'm walking there, and a dude taps me on the shoulder. I turned around and said, I just want to gift you this. I just want to bless you with this. It was just enough gas money to get home. Amen. So that's really just that the power and the testimony of that is it started with transformation. It started with a surrender. It started with a pivot to shift and start stewarding what I had and being obedient with what I had to release those resources into the people that I entrusted, right? So that opportunity really helped me just to change my perspective, mindset, right? You think of like just the mindset of stewardship, and just, you know, I want to get back on track, but I really just wanted to share that story because that's really more my life pivot. So for someone watching online, for someone, you know, in this room that, you know, may be aspiring to do big things and pursue their goals, pursue their purpose, I just wanted to, you know, share that story with a part of my own testimony, the test in my testimony, right, to share that. So next slide. Today, you know, this is some incredible moments that have literally happened in this past probably six months to a year. All of this. I could go into every single story about all these people. Who's that guy? Good looking man.
That is
definitely one of the life-changing moments there. Meeting TGRI, just all these incredible people got me to where I'm at today in this room. So I would love to talk about him at some point. His name's Phil. Just incredible man of God, man of faith, and just incredible. Pretty golfers in the room. I got my first hole in one.
Let's go.
Pretty golfers, 181 yards out, par 3, stuck the green and rolled right in. It was incredible. One of the most. It was God. That's all I can really say. First speaking engagement. That was, I think, 2 weeks ago. So that's really just. That was the start. A man believed in me with a vision. He believed in me to put me on stage, trusted me with that, and I stewarded that. But I learned a lot. So thank you, Wolf, for providing me the opportunity at the gratitude gathering.
Thank you.
But I wanted to add value to you guys, right? You know, with a, you know, about 10 minutes, right? Just 10 minutes of pouring out my heart of what I've learned outside of my story. Like, how does this apply to you guys, right? How can I add value to y'all? Let's go. Stewardship. You got 2 concepts, breaking down stewardship. You got greed and you got gratitude. All right. So greed is the need for more. But if you're always needing more, what are you going to do with this over here that you're currently stewarding? How are you stewarding that? So that's kind of the concept of where I want to take this. So just to kind of dive in a little bit of my notes, if that's okay. I brought some notes to make sure I'm efficient here with the time and steward the time I'm up here. So greed and gratitude, right? Greed always need for more, right? Never satisfied. It's temporary. Greed is temporary, right? It's something that it can get you so far. But if you don't have that foundation of the rock, I would say, and build your house on the rock, what happens when the storm hits? If you're on the sand, it's going to wipe you away. So that concept of greed is really just, I want to kind of give more input. A definition I found: intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, or resources. Again, greed is I must have more. Again, what are you doing to currently steward what you have? Greed can be infectious. It can be a disease sometimes, right? If I'm always wanting more and more and more for me, the people around me are just wanting more and more for me. But what are we doing for we? Because if we always talking about me, and I'm not thinking about we, I may be on my own path. But if I start collaborating, I start speaking to people with a room, right? Given the opportunity to share my story, hear your story, right? How can we come together and do something special? That's why I'm in the room. I want to do something big. I want to do something special. I have big goals, big dreams, big visions, and I serve a big God.
Yes.
So that's really, what, that's just kind of, my heart inside of being here, right? A little bit elaborating on greed. The two concepts of complacency and content. I won't dive too much into this, but complacent is, it says, I'm fine right where I'm at. I don't desire anything to change. I have a complacent mindset. And it doesn't provide an opportunity and a foundation for growth, right? If I'm complacent, it's kind of a house on the sand, right? It's all about me. I'm good. I don't need anything else. But content says, I'm pleased with what I have, but I'm always ready to earn and receive more as my capacity expands. Content mindset leaves room for growth to happen as things shift and change. I want you guys to write that down if you think it's appropriate. But content mindset leaves room for growth to happen. As things shift and change. I'll read it one more time. Content mindset leaves room for growth to happen as things shift and change. So, perfect. So let's shift over to gratitude, right? I beat greed into the dirt, but let's talk about gratitude. What does gratitude mean? So let's dive into that, right? Gratitude is all about we. It's collaborative versus competitive. It's an overflow into others, right? If my cup is poured into by Kenyatta, by Teray, by all these people in the room, and my cup's poured, I'm allowed to receive the learning in this room, then I have the gratitude to receive that and overflow into more people outside of this room, watching online, right? That opportunity to overflow. So gratitude grounds us, right? It gives us a foundation as the anchor. Anchor provides steadiness in storms, right? I mentioned the storm. When the storm hits, what's your foundation on? So that's that's kind of that background of the foundation. Gratitude also grows us. How deep are your roots? Right? When a seed is planted, what's your soil? What's your foundation? Who's watering your tree? Who's the people you surround yourself with? Right? Yes. What are the fruits coming from your tree? Are you a fruitful tree? Or are you a dead tree? Ooh. Sorry. I mean, I was dead. I'm not sorry. It's conviction for myself. And so I just want to keep it real. Some people call me the real deal. But yeah, that's just want to keep it real. So we got 3 more minutes right here. Let's kind of wrap it up. So another quote, and I can text this to you guys. I want to be conscious of the next speakers. Gratitude is the ability to humble ourselves enough to steward what we already have, so that we can be open to receive what the future has in store for us. It's open arms, it's open hands.
Yes.
I'm ready to receive what you have for me. Because I moved myself out of the way.
We photo.
Photo op.
Let's do it.
Do that again.
Gratitude. Oh, this? Sorry. Sorry. The big question is, how are you currently stewarding your dreams, your visions, your relationships, your current skill sets, your assets? How are you stewarding those things currently? All right. So for those looking to level up, you might be lost. You might be looking for what's next. Now is the time to shift from a greed mindset, all about me, to a gratitude mindset. It's all about we. Yes. We. Yep. So let's wrap it up. Stay present, lean in, listen up, steward this moment, and prepare together to receive the value that the rest of this day has in store for us all.
Amen.
So steward this moment.
Let's go.
Like you are feeling super quick. I probably got like 30 more seconds. Maybe.
Good.
You good?
So that's this QR code. What this will take you to is my website. It'll take you to the landing page on my website. That is my scheduling link. There are some coffee and connects if you're local. Come grab coffee with me. If you want to schedule a Zoom call, if you're from out of town, whatever it is, schedule that. And my Instagram's on there on the website. Check me out. Right? What am I all about? What is my philosophy of my business? I didn't really talk about that much. I look forward to meeting all of you and hearing your story because I shared mine.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
All right, real deal. The real deal.
The real deal. Hey, you know it's so good. I'm thankful to be here. I can say that, man, I know it's annoying, but people like stuff like this. Oh, such a blessing. Anyway, are you guys? Is food ready? Are we ready for lunch? It may or may not be lunchtime. At noon.
Is it noon yet?
Or we're Q&A. Sorry, just
It's
kidding.
Q&A.
I'm just kidding.
You got me. It's not.
All right. We're gonna do Q&A. So are we gonna bring the speakers? You guys wanna
How we
come
doing
in?
it? We doing chairs? Come up in
Yeah,
front.
chairs. Look good.
Take some chairs and sit.
Come through. So whatever questions y'all didn't get
Alright, Bill.
answered, like we can do this more of like a fireside chat. You know, in Sedona, not where it's hot, where it's nice. All right.
Oh, that's so hard to sit down.
For now.
Right,
So good. All right, you guys have questions so far about anything or like thoughts or? We got the bit.
I had a few questions about the infinite banking.
Yeah.
Just like, what's the liquidity like? Like, is it ultimate or is there like withdrawals or?
Love that question. So yeah, so it depends all obviously on the company, how it's built, and what are the surrender charges. So, for example, one of my favorite companies, Nationwide, is on your side, right? So Nationwide is actually one of the companies that has the best liquidity pools out there because you actually can, in the first year since day one, you can access around 47% of the money right away. As time goes by, you can actually access up to 97% of the money there. So if you think about it, banks, how much are they going to lend you? 80, 90%, right? So at this point, if you become a banker yourself, you can lend against 97% of your own money. So to answer your question, it depends on the company. But again, keep in mind, like there's no such thing as free lunch, right? If you getting a lot of liquidity right away, it's got to suffer somewhere, right? So Nationwide is really good for liquidity right away, but as far as like long-term performance, it lacks a little bit, right? Now Symetra, another one of the companies that I'm a big fan of, suffers on the liquidity right away. Most often, like most of the time, you have about 10 or 20% liquidity, or sometimes no liquidity in year one. However, in year two, it jumps up a little bit more towards like 40%, and it takes a little bit of time. I'd say probably around like year 7 or year 9, where you have like up to that 97% liquidity. However, in the long term, Symetra performs a lot better when it comes to the interest rate and all that kind of stuff, because cost of insurance is a lot cheaper in Symetra. And on top of that too, the loan provision that Symetra has are fixed. Nationwide, unfortunately, depending on the situation, it has a variable between 5 to up to 8%, right? I haven't seen Nationwide raise their interest rates, however, it's a possibility, right? So hopefully that answers your question. I know it's a long-winded one.
It did, just a few more quick questions.
Yes,
Okay,
of course.
so as far as like all of the different companies that you're working with, so is it like the plan is contingent upon a company, or is it like the multiple companies for one plan?
No, you can have one plan per company, but you can have multiple plans. Yes. Most of my avid investors, they have about 3 or 5 different plans, and one of the good things, one of the positive things about working with a broker is that you can have access to a bunch of companies. Like for example, I'll tell you another company, North American. On paper, North American is the creme de la creme. It has illustrated bonuses, right? Which I don't recommend getting right away, because again, a bonus that is not guaranteed shouldn't be illustrated, right? So now you get into the conversation of companies just competing on paper, right? On paper it can look amazing, right? But to answer your question, it's one plan is one plan per company. You can have as many as you want.
Yeah, the very last question I have is the rates, is it a locked in rate or is it vary with the market? Let's say one plan is paying 7% interest.
Oh.
Is it locked in for the duration of the?
No, so it's not a guaranteed rate. The guarantees that you have is a 0% floor, right? So imagine if you were invested into the S&P 500 index fund without any of the losses. You can participate in the entire upside, right? So you'll get whatever the market gets without any of the losses, right? And a lot of these plans are uncapped. So if you go do a little bit of research online yourself, you'll realize that a lot of people that badmouth these plans, they say that they're capped or they get feed to death, like Dave Ramsey says. That's all lies. It's unbased. Those are plans that are built by amateurs that are just have heady commission burn. So but to answer your question, it's based on what the market does. And most often than not, these plans perform better than the actual indexes that you're invested in, simply because it has the additional participation rate and you're not interrupting the compounding cycles, which is huge. A lot of people think it's on my my crypto fund or my index fund, I got 19% last year, but then the following year you lost 40% because the market dropped, right? It's not about how much money you earn, it's about how much money you keep, right? And that's why uninterrupted compounded interest, it's not the 8th wonder of the world, it's the 9th wonder of the world. Compounded interest is the 8th one, and then the uninterrupted compounded interest is the one on steroids, is the one after that. So that's a great question.
Thank you.
I love
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I got the next question, because Dylan said something during his presentation that really kind of resonated with me, maybe sentiment with Dylan as well, kind of tied into hers. Could you go into a little more detail around being content and how that opens up the opportunity for growth? Because historically myself, I was always taught, you never want, you always want to be driving to the next thing, the next opportunity. But that really kind of made me think about it a different way, was that, once you're content with your situation and you understand yourself and you open yourself up to serve others, that kind of opens the gateway. So I want to see if you could provide a little more.
Yeah, I think first thing that comes to mind, Ray, is an analogy of a pond versus a river, right? So if you're a pond, you're complacent, you're stagnant. What happens with a stagnant pond? It gets moldy, it gets icky, right? It starts to stink, but over time. But a river is constantly flowing. It's constantly giving and receiving, giving and receiving. So the faith answer is Matthew 6:33. Just to take a little deeper. But seek ye first, right? And all of these things will be added, right? So that foundation of faith, and having that gratitude to receive him and then impact them.
I think, can I add on that?
Sure.
I love that. When I think of because you can take ego and heart, right? The greed and the gratitude. First off, it feels better. I have learned to go off of my internal guidance system, which we all have. You can call it the Holy Spirit, you can call it your gut feeling, you can call it your content, you can call it Jiminy Cricket, like whatever you wanna call it, right? It's that guidance system that we all have, right? That connects us to source and all of the things. So for me, like I move towards what makes me feel good, and helping others makes me feel good. And it's selfish. It's selfish sometimes to serve others because I like the way that it feels. When people have aha moments, I like the way that feels. So I am being selfish, but part of that is I realize that something that I enjoy is serving others. And I think that we all do that and have joy in that in different capacities, in different ways. Like I like these really abstract conversations about like mindset and energy. And I like those types of conversations, but I love the moments. And I learned that when I was teaching high school at South Point High School, at-risk youth. I was teaching the kids that they failed 9th grade English, and I came in to help them pass English so that they could go to 10th grade. They failed it 3 times, okay? These are kids with undiagnosed ADHD, undiagnosed, some of them couldn't read at all. They got through school because teachers had passed them, and they had undiagnosed emotional disabilities and other learning disabilities. And I realized, well, I'm just gonna modify for the whole class, all right? I'm not a certified teacher, I have the education to come in. So I was like, well, let me just see what the teachers do. They modify when there's special education. And I figured out what made me tick in that situation, where I was dealing with kids that were dealing drugs, trying to deal drugs out of the classroom. There was a fight in my class that I had to get between 2 dudes that were like 6'2". Okay, these are 9th graders. They're like 6'2", and I said, absolutely not in my classroom. Sit your little behind down. We're gonna learn and we're gonna get you to 10th grade. And I learned that for me, the passion point was those aha moments for them. Oh, nobody explained it like that. Oh, nobody ever told me that I could. My mom just told me, don't even try to go to college because you're not smart enough. My mom told, these are things his parents tell them because that's what they know, right? So your belief system is critical, but I think that when you figure out that what makes you tick, like it is kind of selfish, but in a way, it allows me to be more thankful for these types of experiences, so I seek them out more. So it's kind of like figuring, the closer you get to your authenticity and knowing yourself, I think that you get to a point where you realize like it's connected to the core of you. You are meant to serve others. You are meant to be a light to others. Whatever it is, motivating others, educating others, sharing knowledge. Like thank you. Being in a space, being supportive, listening. Dude, we need more listeners. Nobody listens these days, and those people are powerful. So I think it's figuring out who you are and what makes you tick. And I promise you, the deeper you go, the more it will tie back to gratitude, because that is who you are. That is who you were created to be. So I think that's like, and I'm here, when I was hearing him talk, I'm like, yeah, that's what he's meant to do. This is what he's meant to do. He's meant to be, this is it. This story brought you here today for me. And serving others like the whipped cream and this cherry on top, you know?
I would, if I could just like, 30 seconds, who's before you and who's behind you? Who are you pouring into and who's pouring into you?
Do you
Because
have anyone pouring into you, or is that like some people? I feel like some people probably feel like ain't nobody pouring into me, so I have nothing to do.
you have to seek that out, I would say.
Yes, that's where you seek your community.
Yeah, you seek your community, who's pouring in your cup, who's watering your tree, right? Again, back to the tree analogy, but like, you have to fill up your cup before you can fill up the overflowing others.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Ooh, you can't give it. Yeah, you can't put, that's why they tell you put the oxygen mask first, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna put my baby's oxygen mask on first. But I realized, if I pass out, how am I gonna help these kids get off the plane? So I get it now, but 5 years ago, I didn't understand. I'm like, why wouldn't I put the mask on my baby first? Like, they need to breathe. Then I realized, well, I have 3 other kids. So if I pass out, they're all screwed. So I need to make sure I'm good so I can help, right? And I can make sure everybody else is fine. That's so hard though when you have a heart that loves serving.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It's a balance.
It's a balance. It's so important.
Just comment on what Phil said. That was really powerful for me too, the difference between being complacent and being content, and what that looks like, right? Living your life where you are just good where you are, and even having gratitude where you are, but the difference is living your life content being grateful for where you are, but knowing that God has more. Knowing that you should be striving to have more so that you can get more. And that was, I thought that was really, really powerful contrast.
I will say, I almost took that on my speech today.
No, that was the, that was good.
That's so good,
You
man.
had some
Thank
type
you.
of internal guidance.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, it's part of my book. It's in the book, and that's one of the concepts. But yeah.
No, literally on the way here, it's like, shut up.
You always, always. Got you.
Yep,
She's
sure.
pouring into you.
Yes, it's called The Purpose Pursuit. It is on my computer, but not on Amazon yet. So we got to get it there. But I am super excited about it. It comes with a Pollard piece, and you literally touched on the Pollard piece. It's passion, purpose, and platform. Your platform is your skill set. Your purpose is where you want to be, and your platform is how you get there. Or passion is what gets you there. So, anyways, that's what it's based on. But yes, ma'am. I will get you a copy as soon as it comes out.
I need one too.
Next 2023.
We're about to follow you on the social.
You guys need to get coffee with this guy. He's ever since I got coffee with him once, he put this crazy idea in my head to have the biggest event I've ever put. Actually, my first event I ever put, which was like 2 weeks ago, which was a gathering. So I gotta thank you, man. You changed my life and impacted my life.
That's a line.
Glory to God.
Yeah.
Glory to God.
I can't wait to have lunch and coffee with him.
I know.
Like, can't get enough.
Come meet the wolf, come meet the lion, and
I don't know.
the beautiful.
The queen.
Yeah, or something.
Oh, Queen Bee? Hey! Queen C.
Queen C.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you want to be Beyonce? Come on now.
I did want to be Beyonce.
You're Beyonce.
Oh!
Beyonce, yeah.
Oh,
That could stick.
let's
I
go.
think I like that.
Hey, right?
I'm
There you
gonna tell my
go.
kids to call me that.
Collaborating,
He's
right?
like, oh my God.
That's what happens in coffee car. You just
Yeah,
collaborate.
right. He has to start for it now.
I love it.
I got one more question before we go to lunch.
Go. Well, lunch is at 12, yeah?
You got a little time?
Okay.
We got a little time.
Yeah, we have time.
Yeah, a lot of, this is a question for Wolf, because I am a client of Wolf.
Yes.
And you do have an infinite banking policy set up, but at what time can you start to reap the benefits of what you're talking about? So being your own bank and those types of things. So how far from when you initially set up the transaction or the policy to when you can actually start to
Yeah,
execute those kinds of things?
good question. So a couple things to know about infinite banking is like you can treat it as just another bill or like you're just paying your life insurance, right? Because if you just do that, you're pretty much overpaying for like regular life insurance, right? You got to treat this like it's an investment. Like you're literally setting aside 10 to 15% of your income, max funding the policy. Now I'll tell you this: if you max fund your policy, you can have access to it depending on how you max fund it. You max fund it like from day one, like you put your full year's premium worth in there, you can access the policy right away within 3 days, right? Now, if you, for example, take it a month by month basis, I'd say probably like in the anniversary date, you can actually start having access to that cash value.
So like the 1 year anniversary?
Yeah, because you have to think about it this way, right? Like if you're putting it like month to month, it's like having a savings account, right? Like for example, if you want to use it, if you want to put $10,000 down on a house, right? And you're putting aside $1,000 a month, when can you have access to that 10,000? In month 10, you'll have that 10,000 in there, right? So it's pretty much the same concept, right? How soon you can read it is honestly based on your habits. Not like 99% of retirement plans or investment plans that fail don't fail because the strategy is not good enough. It fails because people don't have the habit to put the money away. Even like this one thing, the one thing that I will agree with Dave Ramsey, because for the ones that know me, I'm not a big fan of Dave Ramsey. But the one thing that I will agree with him is that 99% of the plans that fail is not because of fees, the inflation, or interest rate. It's just because people don't put any freaking money. So Yep.
Imitation or habit?
that's it. Right? You gotta have a plan and you gotta stick to it. Right?
Can you take a whole life plan that you already have, it's not making stuff up?
Roll it over?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you guys, it's actually pretty similar to real estate. In real estate, you can do a 1031 exchange, right? Which is like you're rolling over the equity, I believe, or something like that, just to keep it tax free. Same thing. It's called a 1035 exchange. In
You
life
do that with
insurance.
an IRA?
With the IRA, it's a little bit different. So with the IRA, is it Roth or traditional? Well,
Put money in it.
okay, I'm gonna assume it's probably a traditional IRA because a Roth IRA is super limited on high net worth individuals. Like if you make more than 100,000 a year, you can't put any money in it, or you can't put it more than 6,000 a year. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume,
Yeah,
like,
it's a
based on the fact that you're an EXP founder, that you don't have.
So you said that you get like 24% or something like that.
Well, that
Or you
depends.
can't. But so I have some money in the mutual fund and I'm actually losing it. So then would I keep money out of the mutual fund and do that?
Correct. So I'm gonna answer both of you guys' questions on the same one. So any qualified plan that you have, whether it's 401k or IRA or mutual fund, right? There's a way you can actually strategically roll it out, right? So for example, if you have a traditional IRA, you're subject to the 59.5 rule plus federal and state tax, right? So for example, let's just say if you have $500,000 in there, my recommendation would be not to pull out all 500,000. I would say if you do, for example, like $100,000 at a time, that way your tax liability is not all the way on the full 500,000. So it's only qualified based on that $100,000 at a time. So if the tax bracket is like 23 or 33%, right? You're only paying $33,000 instead of like $200,000 on a $500,000 withdrawal, right? So there's a way to strategically withdraw the money without having to like worry about paying too much tax. Now, most people say like, oh, well, you know, I'm still gonna get hit and like, I'm gonna have to pay taxes. And my question is like, hey, do you wanna pay taxes now? Or do you wanna continue to accumulate money, put money away until you're like 65 and taxes, God knows how high they're gonna be. And now you're gonna maybe have to pay even more taxes than what you would have to, right? It doesn't make more sense to get the taxes like done already. Like, why would you procrastinate your taxes, right? And I understand that that's the traditional system that has taught us. It's like, oh, just put your money in a 401k because you're getting tax deductible and you'll just pay it later. That's the dumbest thing. It's literally,
The rate of.
yeah, it's in what case scenario has taxes ever gone down? Like most of the time, they're always going up, especially when the government is spending money like out the wazoo, right? So I'd say, you have an IRA, you have a 401k, let's roll that thing over. Strategically pull out the money so that way you have the smallest liability possible, while still be able to reap the benefits of an infinite bank. Now, as far as the mutual fund, it's a little bit different because mutual funds you pay as you go, right? It's a tax now kind of account, so it's considered capital gains. What I would say is like mutual funds are probably the most expensive investment vehicle out there because you have to pay an advisor, like a money manager to manage your money, whether you're winning or losing, right? And in this type of market, you're not making anything. You're essentially losing. So what I would say is like for you to have it a lot easier, you would just have to liquidate those accounts and completely cut ties with whatever wealth manager you have, and then you can just repurpose those dollars into an infinite bank. And at that point, you can roll over your whole life policy as well too, or just essentially like reposition some of those dollars. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. I have a question. Okay, so you're talking all about goals and making goals. When is the time that you created a goal and didn't meet that kind of timeline or that effort or whatever, and it didn't meet the goal, and like, how did you pivot? How did you end up doing it?
All the time. All right, so I dream so big, like so big, and it's funny because I don't come coffee with me because I'll have you thinking that you can go fly. Like
Me too.
I'll have because shoot, anything is possible. So my dreams have always been like insanely, ridiculously huge and big, and I realize they usually fall close, but not necessarily there. But my plans don't work out like my plans are supposed to work out, not all the time. That's why I have an awareness of like I am where I'm supposed to be in the moment that I'm in. So I create the plan, right? An example would say, "Ooh, school." I finished high school at 16. My mom did not support me going to college. She told me, find a rich man and marry him. I was on the hunt for a ball player, right? So did try that. No. I dated some professional ball players. No, not the life. I want to make my own money, okay? So I realized, all right, my ticket is education. I had a scholarship for Stanford University, full-rate scholarship, academic scholarship, 4.2 GPA out of high schools. And I didn't take it.
Yeah.
I didn't take it.
4.2.
It was 1.7.
I remind my kids all the time, I'm sorry, you have a what? I have a 4.2. Get it together. And I wasn't sure if my lights were gonna be on the next day, all right? Like, y'all are good. I had a plan to go to Stanford. I had a plan to do my undergrad. I was told I couldn't have kids, so that was not in my plan. But that was fun. Okay, it was 4 kids later. And I, like, what? I didn't do that. Okay, so my plan changed many times. I was like, well, I'm supposed to go to college. That's the plan. I accepted the scholarship. Initially, didn't go. I was scared. I was freaking scared. I was 16 years old, Stanford. Like, what am I going to do on a college campus? How do I navigate those situations? I just got scared. So I stayed on the South Side for an extra year. And I did like things. I did like pageants. I was like Miss Latin America, 2007 or 8. And I traveled and I went to New York and I auditioned and I did all these other, I just did the entertainment route and I was like, maybe. So I couldn't figure out my path. I couldn't figure it out, but I knew I was good at education. So I would take like a semester here and then take a break. Semester there, take a break. And then I realized I think I want to be an attorney. I'm not an attorney. So, okay, cool. I'm good at this. I like law. I'm good at it. I can understand stuff. So I have a pre-law degree. I currently have a pre-law degree. And I had to decide, do I go to law school or do I get my MBA? PhD was not even in my journey, but guess what my original major in college was? Psychology. Should have just stuck with it. So it's like my plans eventually get me where I want to go. I have faith in that. I have faith that my plans always get me where I want to go. But it's never the route that I planned because I needed to collect experiences along the way. And I needed to meet certain people and I needed to experience certain things and I needed to trip and fall. And I before I got pregnant with Max, I was enlisting in the Navy. I was going into their JAG program. I never served in the Navy because I got pregnant with my son. So you see how my plans always work. But I have faith in the bigger picture. And I always know that wherever I am is where I'm supposed to be in that moment. Today I'm supposed to be here with y'all. And well, now I know why, but coming in the door, I was struggling, getting out of bed this morning. I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of people. I have a little bit of like social anxiety, but this chill stuff you see is like completely learned behavior based upon going until adulthood without an autism diagnosis. So I have like social anxiety, but I'm learning to deal with it. But then I get here and I'm in a group like the energy. The energy is good. You would never know because I told you, when you don't know that you're autistic as a child, you don't have the ability to kind of make an excuse for these weird things. You just push through. And now I'm like, oh, that's why my heart is beating really fast. It's not because I'm stressed, because it's legitimately the autism stuff. Please stay weird. That's why I go off on here. So let me stop there. Saying HD autism.
No, I know why I
Have
do.
faith in the bigger picture. With me and Roberta we already diagnosed plan, all the things, no, we're the same. We're the same, and that's probably why we connected, but the faith in the bigger picture, like you just have to know that you're here for a reason. You have to know that things always work out for you. Like they always work out for me. I might trip, but I have never fallen.
Right.
Ever in my whole life.
That's right, you just
So-
fall forward. You know.
No, I don't fall.
Keep
fall
going forward. I'm beating
like
it.
others. But yeah,
Just don't fall, bro.
I just don't fall.
I don't fall. I just go forward. Oops, you got gravity control.
But I'll trip all the time. You might think you trip out here. But you trip, you take different paths, you just keep an eye on like just know that whatever is happening is supposed to be. And that's it. You let go on it.
I took you off that you said like your plan is great, but your faith in his plan is always the best, right?
Yeah.
And so like,
I
man,
trust that.
I think I love Proverbs, man can plan his ways, but God orders his steps.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man without vision will perish, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that balance again, but
And there's this scripture, and I'm not as well versed, so that's an area of opportunity. But I know there's teachings about lean not on your own understanding, right? And I tell my kids that, and I even tell my husband that a lot. Like, you know what you know, but that's all that you know. And I don't know what you know, and you don't know what I know. So let's all help each other. And we don't know what's destined for us all the time. Sometimes we can kind of figure it out. But I bet you what we think we figured out is much smaller than what's actually planned for us. So having faith and knowing like, all right, this is just my limited understanding of this situation in this moment, then you conceptualize everything differently and nothing is a bad experience when you think about it.
So good.
That's all mindset.
It's all mindset.
It's all mindset and perspective.
It's all
So
mindset.
when you make a decision, this is how I'm gonna see this, this is how I'm gonna view, then yeah, that's, you're right.
And you, that's what I tell my kids. Oh yeah, you're gonna have a great school year. You're right. It's gonna be a bad day. You're right.
You're right.
You're always right. It's like all you have to do, like you get whatever you ask for, you get whatever you expect. And wherever your energy goes, that's wherever your focus goes, energy flows. So if you're focusing on wealth and you're focusing on gratitude, you're focusing on how thankful you are for the abundance of positive energy in this room. I bet you leave here and get green lights and have good experiences and someone gives you something free at Starbucks. Like if you just wake up with that energy of gratitude, and that is the foundation of all the things. Like just be thankful for this experience and focus your energy on all the good things that you have, because then you'll have more of it. And if you see people and witness when the opposite happens, you're not gonna spend time there. But when the opposite happens, you're like, my life sucks, this is hard. I don't like saying this, but I know how powerful it is. When you go in the opposite space, when you're having a hard time in a rough day and rough moments and rough weeks, so it gets worse. It's not until you switch, and the easy way to switch into gratitude energy is to serve someone else. Go volunteer at a shelter. My little kids, they just went to Legoland, and please believe I'm not taking them to Legoland or Disneyland again until they go volunteer at the shelter. We're going to the Salvation Army because they were not super thankful. And I'm sitting here, that was my first time at Legoland. But they don't have context to understand, so they need to experience these things. So serving others is the fastest way to get back into gratitude space.
And how do you become great?
That's determined by you. I think that's determined by you. Like great.
Easy question. How do you become great? Anybody?
I think that's because I hear great, and because of all the things that are going on in my brain, I think, well, there's semantics to that because great means something different to every person. So I think clarity on what that means, and then aligning with it. Like we all have it in us, right? We all have greatness. We're not determined. You were not created to give you less, right? Okay? So it's just aligning with the whole of who you are, the top of the hierarchy of needs. Yeah. Just align with who you are, address things that are in your way or limitations, and keep on going. But I don't know, it's you have to sound like.
Just what scripture says, to serve.
Ooh, there. Oh, perfect. I didn't know that. I just learned something today. To
Yeah.
serve.
So again, it goes back to everything begins with a thought. Everything you see here,
Yeah.
everything you're touching,
Yeah.
it began with thought.
Yeah.
And somebody that believed in it.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody else believed in it, but if you believe in it, that's gonna manifest. So as you are shifting mindsets to become great.
Yeah.
First thing is, what you do is serve.
Serve others. That makes so much sense because then it puts you right in the gratitude energy. Your
Absolutely.
focus is on what you have, and then you get more.
Absolutely.
I would
Makes sense.
add, like, as long, when your head and your heart align, then you'll be successful, you'll be great, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're too logical, you think you can't process and think big with your heart. Like it's that balance. So like head and heart alignment, but also like follow your heart, like follow your instinct, follow your passions. You know, like you mentioned about on the screen, like on purpose, like if you truly follow your heart and your passions and you follow him, all these things will be added. So that's to keep it simple, but yes.
One of my mentors said this once. He was like, "Yeah, he put me on game, and I'll never forget this. It's like in life as a person, you have three main goals that you got to focus on. Most people don't even like take a look at it. And there's the A type goals, which are going to be your short term, right? Like, for example, like I'm going to make $1,000 this month. I'm going to make 10,000. I'm going to sell my first home, whatever, right? Then there's your B type goals, which are essentially like a little bit more longer term, right? Like eventually, I want to be the #1 realtor. I want to be cash flowing $1 million a year, right? However, there's a third type of goal. It's called the Y type goals. Those Y type goals are goals that essentially don't affect you materialistically financially, or physically, really. Those type of goals are the ones that align with the purpose. Those are the type of goals that essentially just fulfill your soul, right? Like your internal spiritual guidance, right? So for example, for the ones that you don't know, it's like I will talk about this until the day I die. But my white type goal is the kids. You know, I've actually found a mission to, and my purpose essentially to be able to save the kids that are being sex trafficked. And when you think about it, it's like how is that even going to benefit me? If anything, it's putting me in more danger because I'm taking that mission to take the powers that be to do that, right? However, it's like come back to like being aligned with the person that you are. And I know that that's the person that God has put me on earth to be a real life superhero for those. So to answer the question, how do you become great? So finding that why type goal. It's not about your why. It's about more of like the why of your internal soul, like the spiritual why of you. Because everybody's why is family, you know, like, it's like my mom is my why, right? Like, right? That's like the why, right? But like the realistic, like the why type goal is way bigger than you. It goes way above your family. It goes way above the community that you have, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's that God.
That's right.
That's
God puts
exactly-
into,
yeah.
you know, that's how you, that's what we operate. God puts things, plants that seed in us when we're a child. And things keep happening, get redirected. Oh, I wasn't supposed to. No. You're off course. So he keeps redirecting us.
Right.
And telling us, no, I got something better.
Yes.
Just hold on, wait for me.
Yes.
You're gonna go this way.
Even
No,
how,
I didn't say you turn left.
yeah,
I said turn right and go this way.
Yeah.
Now you're walking in the purpose I have.
yeah.
Yes. And you're like, oh, I never realized.
And if
This is what I'm supposed to now. Oh, I'm loving doing this. I'm loving helping people.
Yeah.
I'm loving, I'm gonna save these kids.
you,
I'm gonna make a difference.
and it's like
I'm gonna leave a
something,
legacy.
yeah, it
That's
might be
the one.
scary for other people, but when you said it, you're like, this is what I'm gonna do. No fear.
I told my mom, I told everybody I run across, it's like I made my peace with God to give my life for this kids. And like if the day comes that I have to put my life on the line for those kids, I am willing to make that sacrifice because every day that passes, I always think about, and I'm sorry this is taking a dark turn, by the way. I didn't mean to do this, but
I'm talking about alignment and purpose.
That's
we're
right,
on
that's
track.
every year there's over 2 million kids under 10 years old that are being sold over 24 times in a day. Because a bag of cocaine or a gram of weed you can sell once and it's done once it's consumed, but a child or a human can be sold over 24 times over and over and over and over because it's an unlimited resource for those type of people. So like I can't, like those are the type of things that like keep me up and it's like, and that's why I've made my peace, and if that's how I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go proud.
Yeah,
The
that's alignment.
it's like, what is the purpose in the pain, like that you went through, like your story, right? Like I mentioned the test and the testimony, like what was the past that you went through and the purpose of going through that to get you to propel you to your future, right? So like the pain, my story, the pain that I went through, the conviction may feed off to you and it aligns with your story and you're able to share his story, which is history.
His story. His story.
It's man, it's like,
I know.
That's why he's not.
She's like, stop, my head hurts.
He feels horrible and I'm like, babe, I cannot process.
So good.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, keep talking with Dylan, like.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
Absolutely.
That is
And sharing it is part, you can't tell me that's not part of your purpose.
And I'm learning that because you have to own it. But it's the moment you own it, you have to return it to him.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's ego, it's pride.
Yeah.
You have to put the pride to the side so you can.
And ego is earth guide only. I got him too, guys. I'll be honest, I heard it on YouTube, it's not mine.
Is it temporary or is it eternal? It's temporary is like the world, you're serving the world, but the eternal is serving him. We're only here for a short season, so that's why we're
been on a mission with a business.
And it's funny, thanks for the layup.
Hey,
That's it. Alley-oop.
Thanks for the layup. In science, all of this is backed up. So in the science of psychology, this is all backed up. There are limitations when you're operating on a ego and when you're not operating yourself, which is part of ego. So in science, it's all, so in addition to the spiritual lessons and teachings that mean so much, like the scientific world is taking the time to catch up. But y'all, there's proof. There's proof in the biological space, there's proof. The way our neurotransmitters receive information, the words we use, the power of our language, all of these things matter, and science can now start proving them. Lack of representation and research, and there's some limitations there. But that's what I'm trying to do, to help drive some of that, like a lot, like essentially it's just bringing these pieces together. They're not separate. Your mind, your body, your spirit, they're not separate. You are a spirit inhabiting a body for an experience, right? And your mind is the engine that gets you there, but you are a spirit. You are an energy. You are only using this vehicle, right, of your body, like for a short period of time. So what you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? You gotta steward it. You gotta steward it.
Come on. This is why I pulled this crew together. The best is yet to come. I mean, can you imagine what we can do?
There's no
Does
limit.
not every real estate agent need this? Does not every person that sells need something like this?
Yes,
Does not everyone in the walk of life need this type of education and training?
yes.
Will this not help? That's why God gave me this vision.
And you've been
to go
collecting
to
pieces for years.
I've
Let's
been
think
doing
about
it,
that.
yes.
You've been collecting pieces for years. So how we got here is, and I'm gonna just gonna.
Okay.
Okay. So experience pulling all these technical pieces together. This is stuff he's collected years and years along the way. How to run a business, right? Me, my relationship with you.
Yes.
We connect. I was 16 years old. I'm 3 years old right now.
You know what, 21?
Yeah, 23 years old right now. Yeah, and I kind of told you something, but it's okay.
It's okay, nobody knows math here.
You've been collecting relationships for a long time to get here, and that's what I think. Like in business, it's a thematic goal. What goal right now is going to get us to our ultimate goal, right? Usually, right now I'm working with pre-IPO companies that haven't gone public yet, and a lot of their target goal is like Series B, Series C funding, right? So they're in this space, but they have small quarterly thematic goals. What can I focus on today to get me where I'm trying to go, which is pre-IPO work, usually IPO, right? But it's these thematic goals. Okay, my goal right now is to master technology. You're taking up, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Events. Honey, we done did events where we at the Cardinal Stadium, renting out the whole Cardinal Stadium and
I
doing
rented
events.
out the whole Cardinal Stadium.
What?
We have, but listen, between, like, these are,
Tell them.
no, I performed at it, so it was, yeah.
That's who I was.
Wasn't I see there, the homie?
I see you there.
But these were the relationships that like people
Snoop was there.
have. With their house.
Dude,
I got
remember I
all
told,
this-
what did I tell you about gratitude gathering? I don't know if I told you or not, but my vision was to have the gratitude gathering in the Chase Field. Maybe it has to be the Cardinals.
Oh, we've done the Cardinals.
done-
Stadium
Double up.
before.
We did the Cardinal, we did the Chase.
Yeah, so that's what like, but these events, large scale events.
I had
it's-
over 3,000 people at my open.
Yeah.
My grand opening, which you performed at for my auto business.
And that
Over
was-
3,000,
That was insane, and that was before social media.
yes.
So this is on GP, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just on, we come because we're supporting you, and we know you have a good product and service. This is years in the making. So everyone here, now we're all connected. I love intimate gatherings. We're all connected to have each other's relationships, to grow our own mission and help each other. But your mission, you have this big vision, which I keep telling you, bigger. But like, you knew something
I've
was
been
good,
holding
something good was coming. But it's all those collective experiences along the way that prepare you for it. And then after you achieve that, right, you can't stop and just be like, okay, well, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Me, I'm always like, okay, what's the next goal? What's the next thing? That's the vision. But I also
I see this global. Yeah. Are you guys ready?
I'm down to go to Japan. I don't know why I keep seeing
Yeah,
Japan.
I have a friend actually must say,
I have no idea what you said, but yes. Yes.
That's definitely my goal, and that's why I started building Japanese.
Let's
Oh,
go.
see?
No, see, that, all I
Like,
see is
see,
Japan
that's
now.
the
It
thing
takes a
along the
team,
way.
it takes a team, right? And everybody has a purpose,
Mhm.
but if one man is trying to do something alone, it's
You
hard
can
to
do it
achieve
with
that. You
small-
can do it, but it's never gonna be on the scale that God has for you. It's about the body of Christ.
Hey, let me.
And everyone here, right? Everyone here is from the body of Christ. Isn't that funny? It's not- It was meant to be.
I was like, well,
There's no coincidence.
Jesus, I have 12 to reach 12 million and 12 billion.
That's right.
Gotta start somewhere.
And even in that 12, there was one that everybody hates. But he had a purpose. If he didn't fulfill that purpose, oh, pretty good. If he didn't fulfill that purpose, right, then we wouldn't have redemption. He couldn't have paid the price. He couldn't have done that for us.
Yeah.
That love could have been expressed in that manner. Do you not think that he didn't know Judas was gonna sabotage? He already knew. He already knew. But there's gonna be haters. There's gonna be. But what we're trying to do, I wanna build, but what we're trying to do is something that helps everybody. It's not just about real estate. Yes, I love real estate because why? We're able to help people. This woman here changes people's lives every day. Every day. I watch her. That's my mentor. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being in my life.
I love it.
She is wonderful.
My life.
And she has changed my life. Right? And showed me different ways of doing things and sharing with people. But if I hoard this, right? And there's realtors out there, don't listen to me. They don't want to hear that EXP is the best place to be. You know,
Oh, I'm not interested.
I'm not interested.
But you said, but you haven't heard it from us.
Haven't heard it from us. And you don't know what we can do. We can double your income easily. If you're doing X amount of dollars now, you're a super producer, but you don't have a quality of life with your family.
where's your
That-
time?
Where's your time going? There's a difference. This company is made it so you can, I'm an owner in it.
Me too.
Me three.
Yeah.
5, 6, look at that. She got some. It's a difference. We're not working to build a brokerage well, we're working to build our own.
Yes.
And then we can hand it over to here and double, triple it.
And that is the best. We'll be in here. What's so funny was when I was in San Diego, I was over at the beach for a month. And I was in between exams hard.
Nice.
I was terrible sick. I studied with a man about infinite banking.
Oh, really?
And I had breakfast with him every single morning and talk about there are no mistakes. And he was very old, but he was trying to educate me on it. Then I come here and hear this and I think, holy Mary,
Wow.
you know,
That's big.
here it is, right in my face again. And it's a vehicle that is how to manage our wealth and how to get there faster. I mean, we don't have to wait forever.
Yes.
So this is an incredible vehicle that will pass. And if we could just make ourselves give some money to him and do that. I mean, I'm a walking advertisement for that, but I just think it's so funny how you
Yeah,
put
I
all
love
this together, Kenyatta. I mean, it's just brilliant. I think we should have the whole stadium rented out and filled with people and tell.
That's good.
When I
Realtors.
We're ready.
Yes,
We're
Yeah,
ready.
can I share one thing real quick? Like based on what you just said about like everything is meant to be right. How did we meet, Kenyatta?
We met at a barbershop.
And you want to know the story of how we actually met? It's like it was not supposed to happen.
It was not.
I didn't get a haircut, did I?
No.
I didn't get a haircut. So what happened was, so the owners of that barbershop hired me to do their marketing. At the time I was like, I'm not like Jade, like an expert in marketing, but and too, yeah. But I was doing their like, you know, background like Yelp marketing and you know, Facebook page and all that kind of stuff. I was trying to do whatever. Anyways, and they started like they opened the barbershop, right? And I was
Yeah,
heading,
several.
yeah, I know, it's wild, it's so crazy. Anyway, so I was heading home, and from I forgot what I think it was after church, or I don't know, it was one of the days, whatever, I was heading home. And I had no plans to go to the barber shop. And something, not something, God told me, let's be honest, God told me, it's like, hey, just stop by the barber shop.
I tried to recruit him as a.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
Good for
did.
you.
Yep. So anyways, so God told us like, hey, just stop by the barber shop. Like, you never know. Just like, I'm telling you, go. And I was like, you know what, God, I'll go. And I went there, I stopped by it, and after I was like, he hasn't showed up yet. I was just talking to Javier and forgot the guy's name. Anyways, whatever. So I was talking to them, whatever. It was like the grand opening, and I was eating tacos or whatever, and I was on my way out. And before I left, Kenyatta walks in. And like right away, it's just like we crossed eyes, and it's like that spark, like it was like weird. It was like, oh my god. Yes, it was just like that. And I was and like I don't know why I stopped. Like I didn't even leave. It's just like when he just came in, I was like, it's like something told me, it's like I gotta talk to this guy. And at that point, it's like I was still like a little young. I was a little afraid of talking to people, strangers. And he was like, hey man, I need you on my team. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I do real estate. And at that point, I was like, dude, like, I was like literally looking. I was at that point, I was young in my business. I was like, it'd be crazy if I could just like, if I could find a seasoned real estate agent, has a big team, has like bigger goals, like, and I could just share like this. It's like, I know I can make big changes. Like, boom, that thing happened. Next week we got a lunch at Cheesecake Factory, and everything just like trickled down to like today.
You know what's funny?
Then we found out we went to the same church.
What the hell? That's right, we did.
Yep.
We do still.
Still do. Went on the top.
Oh my god.
So, okay, when you start to fulfill your needs, right, and live in the purpose, your vibrational frequency is different. I had to say it. So as that hierarchy of needs, right, it's a different vibrational frequency, different radio frequency, and you attract different experiences into your reality based upon that. So that's what happened, y'all. You needed each other, and you were on the same vibrational frequency, and it was like that.
Yeah, literally.
You even call it chemistry in like romantic situations, but like chemistry, all right? And it's alignment. It's just like y'all were, yeah, it had to happen, but it's because you were vibrationally on the same page, and that's kind of what's going on in the room. It's like, that's why, yeah, I'm thankful, because I feel like I'm with people that are in a similar energy space.
It's the same thing that happened with Wolf and I. Because I moved, I moved to Arizona just less than 2 years ago from Miami. I didn't know one person here, like, so I didn't know anyone. So I decided, like, I need to find Latinos, like, I need to find my people, like, I miss my people. Like, I don't know what to do. So I started Googling, like, dance classes.
Oh, there's your dancer.
Started Googling dance classes. Then I was like, I couldn't find anything. Then I saw a friend that I haven't seen in about 8 years posting a dance class, like he ended dancing. I was like, what? Because he used to live in San Diego. It's like, oh, that's cool. You're dancing in San Diego, like bachata, like specifically the music that I wanted to learn. And he's like, no, I live in Phoenix now, and I just went to a class. I'm like, okay, can I go with you? So he invited me the next Wednesday. And it's like, oh my goodness, oh, this is amazing. First person I met, well.
Yeah, I stepped on her
Oh,
feet,
yeah.
like, she gave me shit for that, like, forever. Yeah.
And then after that, so that just, like, oh my God, this guy dances really bad. That's what I was thinking, but anyway, no, it was just like really cool meeting him, a bunch of people. And then the week after, I was doing a networking event, and I saw him. I was like, "What are you?"
I was like, "What the hell? What? Like, what?"
Yeah, because we didn't know anything about business, nothing. And now, not only we're business partners, I have, I'm.
This is my client as well.
His client, we have all our business together.
he introduced and like he got into Pacific, he
Yeah.
introduced to Canada. Like it's just like, and now I'm here like, what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
So, so we can have like a dance.
By the way, yes, side note,
Okay, Friday
I
night,
used to be-
Hannah.
Okay, I
Oh,
used
yeah.
to be-
quick side note,
I'm there.
if you guys are interested in bachata, Jade is a director at the dance studio.
What?
Yeah, she's
So,
amazing dancer. She was actually the
So just to connect more dots, I used to work at this financial marketing agency where I learned a lot about I rolls out. And that's where I met Wolf at.
it's so
And
crazy. We
so I
actually met.
invited him to my dance class where he met Andy. It's so good. And
There are no mistakes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I am there at Bijanas on Friday. I am there on CB on Wednesday. And I will let you all know. when it's happening.
Yes. Oh my God. And I was just saying, I need to start dancing.
So I'll tell you guys, if I don't know how to dance, she has to help me.
My limitations.
Yeah.
You took that one.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, like, all of your guys' speech and your stories make me feel so good. My
Oh,
vibrations are
yes.
so high. So I love it.
Yeah, I know, I was
Such
a
a
dancer
good
too. I taught ballroom dance in Manhattan. When I said I did the whole entertainment industry, I was like auditioning and doing this and all this. And then I taught ballroom dance in New York City. So I trained with Julianne Huff when I was, she was my best friend growing up. She's still a good friend of mine. So I'm gonna be putting in classes. That's part of my plan. One of my goals is to get back into music. So look at the alignment. Pizza's here, so we can go
Pizza's here.
eat.
Let's go eat.
So before we do that, I
Oh,
want,
she's got something
Oh.
to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
well, one is, I posted on TikTok, a really beautiful, it's called a prayer. But, so we want to bless the food, and, but one of the things that I want to add to that is, every time you're going to break bread, whether it's with yourself, you're never going to kill yourself. First of all, you are to be yourself. We have the Godhead, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. You yourself, as we were talking earlier, you're the body, you're the mind, you're the emotions, it's the soul, and you're the spirit. You're never really alone. But your food as you eat it, touch it, savor it. It doesn't matter what it is. It came from somewhere, and we're all connected to everything. We're all connected to each other. We're connected to everything. And pay attention. Become more aware, more mindfulness. So this is part of the mindfulness. But since we're in a gathering, this is absolutely phenomenal and amazing. And the more you feel that, and more it just goes. And you can see it in each other's eyes and your smiles, or laughter. This is bringing healing to our emotions, healing to our bodies, healing to our minds. This is all part of what the infinite intelligence is working with, because we are a massive vibration, and it's bringing and collectively we're collaborating, we're setting goals that think.
By the way, she's gonna be one of our coaches.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Just saying.
So this is already done, and it's already prospered, and it's already done. So one of the things that you were all talking about being gratitude. So start declaring things as they were. So be grateful for the things that haven't happened yet, but they have in the spirit.
Yeah.
Have manifested.
Yes, exactly. So everything that you are pursuing and doing, already see it in your mindset, even before 8 o'clock, before you get out of bed. It's already the first thing you do, be grateful, be thankful, and we've already talked about all this. So regarding that, now is with the food. So take a deep breath, ground yourself, because there's other things, little things that are going to be coming. Everybody here is going to start receiving downloads. You're going to start receiving visions. You're going to start receiving visions, and collectively. So this summer, like, yes, I had that. It's a piece of a puzzle. You're all part of that, the bigger plan. Okay. Thank you, Father God. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Son, Jesus. We ask you to bless this food, we remove it into our bodies, brings it back to its genesis, from its seed to its harvest, for all those that make it possible for us to enjoy it now and for each other.
in the stallion, because you have found this before. So for that, we're very grateful. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The mind of God guides me. The life of God flows through me. The laws of God direct me. The power of God abides within me. The joy of God uplifts me. The strength of God renews me. The beauty of God inspires me. There I am. God is me. Amen.
Amen.
Then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, go.
So, for those watching via Zoom, via YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. We'll be back 30 minutes. Don't go nowhere. Come back. Best is yet to come. We got Angie coming up to speak. And then Tori and I will close it out. Got some power, got some heat. Don't go nowhere. Stick with us.
I want to say
Yes,
something.
yes, ma'am. Come on.
She said, made me think of a story I heard years ago. And it's about the bamboo tree. Have you ever heard that?
Oh,
And,
yes.
we already know.
Bamboo,
I'll say it.
Please say it, say it.
Come on,
Or
say it.
it's like it doesn't grow since like little. And you think it's not growing, but it's growing in roots, deep. And then all of a sudden, the girl was like, I can get like 10, 20 feet in just a very short amount of time. So, you know, I think what we're talking about is like you might not see what's happening in the future, but seeds are being planted. And the roots are going I don't know about you.
A year ago yesterday, she had a full-on stroke. She couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, she was paralyzed on one side of her back, and she was in the hospital wherever, and they told her she'd never come back. Well, here's Judy.
Praise God. Praise God.
Even for 1 year later, she
Praise
said,
God.
woo, I get a little tired of selling, I think I want to learn how to attract agents. I said, okay, so we're just, you know, working away on it. It's just fun.
Man, I'm so excited. I'm just grateful everybody being here. I want to thank everybody. Let's eat and let's get some energy, some new energy. Don't get sleepy from me. Don't eat too much. Let's get some energy and
I
let's
was actually talking, oh, sorry. people.
Hey,
So you grew up in Alabama, I grew up in Florida.
I got it. Get some information there.
Sir,
Yeah, yeah.
let's do it. You have a, oh, right here. How do you want to connect? Yeah. Yeah, man, let's connect. What's an open book? So, yes, really good places.
My wife,
So like. So our business together.
Oh my God. I'm certified.
We're both, we like this. It's like most of it's not so. It be a small portion. It's like
Yeah,
it's a whole like. Yeah, we don't even know about. So they dive down to. And we discovered that like years. Like in Moana. Like we didn't know that. Until like. Way.
There's actually a place in
I know.
Mexico.
Full space, I don't know about.
It's freshwater. It's about 100.
Okay, so
Layer of
I gotta dump my camera.
So you can come down through here, it's like the diving through the clouds and then you look below.
Oh,
It's like,
so cool.
it's uniquely different. But, yeah, that's,
I love it. So I want to hear about the high court.
okay.
So tell me a little bit about it, and then I'll be thinking on the back end.
So the whole reason why I built my house.
Okay.
When I left corporate, I spent 15 years in aerospace.
Yeah.
I was an aerospace. I'm very mechanical.
Oh, cool. My cousin. Okay, perfect. I know mine. Okay.
You know mine.
Yeah.
I had enough with corporate America. You know, I've been through, I've worked there 15 years and 17 layoffs, you know, and all the budgetary stretch when I'm like, my dad wanted to retire. I don't move over his. I've been working for it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, 2009 is when I left corporate America.
Okay.
You know what was going on in 2009? Well, in about 2011, his primary customer, which was a company called Muzak, EMX, they were commercial sound. That's what he does. They went bankrupt. So I realized I had to sell my systems to
Instead of like.
like B2B. I'm still B2B, but I'm B2B different.
Okay.
Well, I realized I couldn't sell. I joke with myself. I couldn't sell fire to somebody freezing.
Right. And you can talk about the people there.
I was completely frozen when it came to trying to sell.
Yeah.
So I sought out the sales.
Yeah.
Now I can help people. I don't sell. I offer my service. If you want, great. If you don't, it's not right. And so Coachwares is my e-commerce platform.
Okay.
That I went and looked at it and said, well, why does why do you coach it have to put stuff in TGRI, in Mastermind, in Amazon?
Right.
You gotta have a team keeping track of where all your stuff's at.
Right.
So my business partner, who's got 35 years of software development experience,
Okay.
we put together Coachwares, and went out into the world and basically.
I have a question. This is very, Coachwares. Okay, so it's the software, not the platform, correct?
Well, it is a platform. So
Okay, so that's the less included in.
the Coachwares is an e-commerce platform.
Okay.
So
So you can do it. Okay.
we built a subdomain in Coachwares called courses. And we run a learning management system like pretty much every major university does in the country.
Right, like Coursera.
Coursera, or we use LearnDash, that's what we typically use.
Okay,
And so we can build an entire course in this platform.
okay.
Post it in your store on Coachwares.
Uh-huh.
You can put your mastermind, your subscriptions, your books, your
Yeah.
documents, everything in this one store. That's what we're doing.
Question, can that be embedded into a site, like a iframe setting, or is it like more? direct to this
You want to redirect it.
Got it,
Because
okay.
I've got VPS servers running, I've got cloud level security running, I like sales tax for the way here rule in 2018.
Okay.
Credit card processing.
So you do all the camp stuff,
I take all care of all the stuff.
good.
I don't use the jargon. I build my own platform.
Okay.
But you don't have,
Different,
you don't, and here's the great part about it, it's done for you. If you bring me your content, my builders put it in the back end. You don't have to learn WordPress, you don't have to learn Elementary, you don't have to learn.
I know now.
Show you
Like, almost every time, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to basically bring us the content and for all your videos, and part of the book, basically. When you buy the store, you have access to the courses. All videos go in Vimeo. I have an enterprise level Vimeo account, so it's all locked down and secure. You get unlimited traffic, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited everything.
But it all has to be redirected to your platform.
Yeah, you have to come into the store, just like you would at an Amazon store. You drive traffic to your Amazon store. But we built it around coaching. It's strictly for personal development. It doesn't matter if you're real estate, business, finance, personal, psychological, woo.
All the things, you're just explaining me. I'm a little woo, definitely psychological.
we just want to make sure that it's all related to the coastal environment. This is my give back to the world.
That's the,
And then,
relates with the right.
that's what Angie said. I'm actually taking Angie's social media class, which I have to do. And then part of the other half of my business. So it was funny when you mentioned the triangle.
Oh, yeah,
As
we were
soon as you
talking
said
about
the
power
triangle.
tree and triangle. Yeah.
So my triangle is e-commerce, customer management, customer relationship management. If you don't track your customers and keep them engaged, they don't know one of your customers. And then networking. So I belong to the networking group called the Mentor Studio. The Mentor Studio is the whole mission behind this is to empower and educate people less fortunate to grow businesses outside. Currently, we have people in Japan, Tanzania, South America, Chile, Canada, Australia.
Berta said hi, she's between patients.
Oh.
She's on the chat watching.
What's on stages?
Right.
You go.
You can start there, yeah.
That's what I do.
That's awesome.
Oh, my name's Eric.
That's
Nice to meet you. Hi, everyone in social media.
I'm Wolf, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, Eric, you've been getting some free plugs because we're still live.
I appreciate that.
It's okay.
So, yeah, pretty much. Good, no. So, actually, when I started in finance, it was like right after the move to Washington. And
I'm working on my.
And like, because I was very charismatic, I was a top producer, like I was literally at the top of the top.
Honestly,
So I was like, everybody started calling me, man, that's like a wolf of Spain. So it's like, everybody started calling me wolf. My first name is like super hard to pronounce and spell.
I'm gonna end and then we'll come back. In the, I gotta do something.
Yeah. Ilya. Ilya.
I'm gonna end this temporarily. We'll be back.
You can try to write it in words, right? So, and I, because